Good. All right. We're going live in 3, 2, 1. Oh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 277. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, alongside Johnny V.
Bringing my audio live for real this time.
Wow.
Hot mic action.
Little BTS, I think is what we call that.
Yeah.
Except for they don't see the scene.
If they don't see the scene. I do some work with Tyler Brickley to do Disc Golf Stream, and I need to make 1 or 2 changes to my audio in order to make sure that we don't lose it when I switch scenes. So I just had it live. It was hot, so to speak, all the time.
Oh, good thing we weren't talking any real trash.
No, we weren't.
We should have been.
Yeah, we kept all that Simon trash talking. But how much, that guy. Jeez.
So much action. All right, guys. Well, welcome everyone again. This is episode 277. Regular, good old-fashioned Tuesday night podcast, but kind of back in the swing, at least for another week or so. And then things might get a little out of whack as we move into both the Christmas Eve and the New Year. But Christmas came a little early over at the Jenkins family household. Congratulations, Arlo Lewis Jenkins, born today. Huge shout out, Leah and Avery Jenkins, of course, the parents. And yeah, just incredible. World Championship family expanding. And, well, he
was a big kid, too.
Yeah,
10.5 pounds, 2 feet long.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That is a big one. My son was 9, and I felt he was big. So 10.5, boom.
Well, you didn't feel anything, to be fair.
That's probably very true.
Well, again, congratulations to the Jenkins family. Leah, we've always known as a trooper and certainly a warrior in a sense. So congratulations again to them. So, all right. Other sweet action going on around the world today. We're not going to have Dynamite Dana Vici join us. He's got some stuff going on. He's living that dad life the best that I know he can. Also, his daughter, one of his daughters, Lucy, just celebrated a birthday, turning 2. So congratulations to Lucy and the Vici family, of course. We'll be excited when we can get back on track and have Dana in here as a regular. Tonight, though, we will talk a little bit, well, I don't know if there's family plans in the works. I don't want to throw that out there, but I'll start the rumor unsubstantiated.
Please don't start that rumor.
I mean, they bought a house.
That they plan to Airbnb during the summer.
But they'll be home in that house. We're going to have Eric and Tina Oakley joining us on the show here tonight.
I don't know how baby things work, but I think you need a bed. I don't know if they have any furniture yet.
Oh, I don't think you need a bed.
I don't know. I don't know how babies work, but I'm guessing you do. That's what every book has told me, that and a stork.
Well, we know that they're in Pensacola, and they may even be still doing some work right now. Some bonus footage is being put together. I've got to thank Madison Walker along with Tina Oakley. One thing that actually kind of developed as Nantucket Open rolled around is, I don't want to say I had an extra cameraman, but we had a few extra hands that could be put to good use, and I made the executive decision to work with both AJ Risley and Matt Graham from Kids Disc Golf, and one of them was helping me out on throw and catch cam. One was went and got some extra bonus footage, and that included the FPO. So thankfully, Madison and Tina said they would oblige in putting some commentary down on that, and so we're going to have some FPO footage for Nantucket, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. It seems like it's been really well received. Last week, I released the opening skins match from the pro skins match that took place the night before the Nantucket Open happened. Then I released all of round 1, all of round 2, which may or may not have had a playoff, spoiler, and either tonight or tomorrow morning, Raz round, it's ready to go. It's in the queue, and then we'll have some FPO action. So Nantucket helping fill that little lull, one of the lulls that we have in disc golf footage right now.
Yeah, there's a little disc golf footage coming up between you and then today, the Kevin Jones highlight video from 2019, SmashBoxx dropped. So you get a chance. Actually, it dropped on Monday, but you can go check it out if you haven't already. That is some pretty good stuff. A lot of people commenting on his putting style, as always.
What makes you want to do leg squats?
No, it doesn't.
It really makes me think, yeah, I need to put a sack of potatoes on my back and just do some squats. That'll make me a better putter, I'm pretty sure.
It couldn't hurt.
That's true. Well, it might hurt momentarily, but overall, yes, you're exactly right. So Kevin Jones, of course, one of the fan favorites out there. So fun to watch the explosive nature that he has, not just off the tee, but then knowing that he's so deadly from that circle 2 range. It's a lot of fun, and I think anyone would be fooling themselves if they said that Kevin Jones wasn't one of those people we're going to be watching over the next few years that could be part of that next swing or that next group of players that may be vying for world titles sooner than later, as he's already right there in contention for them. And speaking of Kevin, one of his teammates, I'll say squashed, if there were any official rumors out there, it sounds as if they've been squashed entirely, and that Katrina Allen today announcing a re-signing or a continuation as well.
An extension.
With her Prodigy contract. So congratulations to both
2
Katrina
years
and Prodigy.
$15 million.
15?
I heard it's $15
Oh.
million.
I heard it was 18, 9 per year.
I think that's with the signing bonus.
Okay.
No,
Well,
just a 2-year extension. That's all we know from Katrina and Prodigy, but congratulations to Kat on that extension for her upcoming 2020 and 2021 season. Excited to see Kat get back out on the course.
Yeah, absolutely. And she said she's going to be focusing on her off-season training and spending some time with her family and friends that she's away from while she's on the tour. And then she went on to thank, of course, Prodigy, along with Black Ink Disc as one of her other primary sponsors. And it'll be really, it'll be exciting to see her. So no, unlike, I'll say, the number one competitor or rival that she has out on that on the course, being Paige Pierce. Paige is obviously going to go through a little bit of a shift. You know, she may be putting discs back in her bag that she's seen or used in the past, obviously adding some new ones. Kat, on the other hand, I'll say she'll have that comfort that comes with, maintaining and staying the course with your current sponsor. I feel like that, we talked about Paul last year. We've talked about Ricky. I mean, Ricky's went from Innova to Prodigy to Latitude back to Innova, learning all of these new discs and adjusting every couple of years.
Meh.
You don't think it's that hard for him?
Not for these people.
Well,
These top pros can pick up plastic, and within a month, I feel, can be very comfortable with virtually all parts of their game. I think getting that, there's a few spots maybe that take a little bit longer to learn, maybe like a turnover putter or a turnover mid-range or just your regular putter. Those are things it may take a while to tweak because you're going to run into situations on the course that maybe you haven't practiced. Big tailwind putt, big headwind, drives, things of this nature that will take a little while. Learning your new plastic in the rain. Nobody wants to practice in the rain. And so the first time you go out there, we said it about Paul last year, you might not be prepared for that. Like, oh, this plastic in my hand reacts a little differently in the moisture than, my last manufacturer or however that works. But for the most part, as far as the discs go, they know, hey, this is overstable, this is straight, this is understable. I think the generalities are the same there.
Do you think there's any huge disadvantage in that they don't have some of these discs that are maybe weathered in or worn in to a beat up stage that they might be used to? Kat may say, okay, well, or we'll use one of her other teammates in Kale LaVisca. That seasoned M4 doesn't fly like a brand new M4 did out of the box, and we know that that's a disc he possibly couldn't live without. Oxygen may cease if that disc is gone. But not having some of those maybe weathered or those slightly worn in discs.
I think that this gives them a chance to everybody loves a good, reliable worn-in disc. But I think if you ask them, would you rather have this Old Faithful or a brand new disc that flies very close to it? I think most people are going to pick the brand new disc because it's easily replaceable. So where you might have been relying on a disc that has seen better days and that does something that you know specifically, this gives you a chance to maybe replace that for something, at least temporarily, that you might be able to get right out of the box. Rather than, Paige relying on something from DD that was flippy, maybe she just has a Meteor now.
Sure.
Or something along those lines. And she's like, oh, look, out of the box, this does pretty close to what I'm looking for, as opposed to what I was using before that I had weathered. Now, I think all these players, you check in with them in 3 years, or even 2 years, they're going to have those weathered discs just because they become part of your bag and you learn to adjust as they begin to lose their stability and as they get beat in. It becomes almost like a safety blanket. Like, oh, I know this disc. Yeah, when I got it, it flew one way and I loved it, but I still love it even though it flies a different way. I mean, we all get that way with our plastic. Very rarely does a disc take a beating and you just go, oh, well, I don't need this one anymore. I'm going to just go and replace it. No, you just keep it in your bag and you find new uses for it. I have an X Comet. I was fortunate enough to get out and play this weekend with some friends of ours. And I have an X Comet that it's too flippy for almost any situation, except I had a perfect 280-foot drive right up the pipe with a tailwind. That is the perfect shot for this disc. But almost anything else, it's just too flippy. But I'm not taking it out of my bag for whatever reason. It's just a safety blanket.
Well, so someone else, to kind of segue off of that exact thought, someone else that may need to find, may or may not, we'll see if she sticks with throwing them or if she gets picked up by a new sponsor. Someone else in the news, Missy Gannon had made an announcement saying that she will be parting ways or has parted ways with Dynamic Discs. So that was what was probably a shocker to some. I'm sure if you were kind of on the in and you had conversations with either her or DD, maybe there was some kind of tell or hint that was about to happen, but saw that coming. We did not see that coming necessarily, so that was some news. And then, so you got to think, where is she going to end up? Is she actively pursuing another sponsor? Is someone maybe have their eye on her right now and are waiting for the right time to officially sign? Does she have 3 or 4 different manufacturers of plastic sitting at her camper or at her house right now, and she's out there actively trying them all out, and she's in the middle of making a decision? We're not sure on that, so hopefully we hear some news there. But joining, already on the team is Vanessa Van Dyken from Discraft. I was going to say joining her teammate, but she was already there. Vanessa Van Dyken also with an announcement today, along with Discraft, letting the world know that she's going to be part of the elite team.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising to me. You and I talked about this earlier, saying that Vanessa, who was, I don't say plagued with injuries this year, but had a little stint here and there, it was moved up to the elite team, and it feels like it almost feels a little premature to be on the elite team for her, but a lot of what might be behind this is her potential. Vanessa has as we all do, we have limitless potential, but Vanessa has shown, what she can do when she's out on tour. So, congratulations to her. That's great. Getting on the elite team means you're probably getting a touring disc. That's going to help fund, your yearly tour. And there's still one more spot at Discraft, according to the website, for a member to join. And a lot of people are speculating that it might be Missy Gannon because of her close relationship with Paige.
Well, and I think I was there the moment when Paige actually went to Missy, which was during the Worlds in Iowa, AM Worlds. Forgive me if that was 2017, I believe. Had gone to Missy and let her know before she was about to play in the Final 9 and ask her to join Team Dynamic Discs. Paige had played with her and met her, I think, for the very first time in Colorado at the Rocky Mountain Women's event, which was an event that I was there covering that year. And they became friends, and Paige, of course, very seemingly clicked with her very well. They've gone on to become good friends. So, like you say, if you're putting pieces of a puzzle together, that's one that might fit in there nicely if you're a super sleuth like Johnny V is.
Not a lot of sleuthing there. That's just seeing those two friends. And that is 100% a guess. Missy could go to, like you said, any particular sponsor. It just kind of would make sense it makes sense in everybody's head that would be a place she could end up, would be at Discraft. But, any company that gets her, whether it be Innova or MVP or Legacy or whomever, Prodigy, is going to be getting a talent.
All right. Also, today or yesterday, I apologize, one of the two, since we're all full-blown sponsorship news and information, Lucas Sandvik, the Norwegian FPO superstar. I've seen her a few times myself this year. I saw her playing at Toonie. She's very active on social media. She's frequently showing her practice putting routines. She's also an active weightlifter and very much finds herself in the gym quite often trying to prep herself for playing disc golf. And we've seen her on Team Discmania as of this last year. I saw her both during the Toonie and then just a month or so ago over at the PCS Open where she was playing for Team Discmania. However, it was recently announced, again, either today or yesterday, I think yesterday,
I believe,
that she has signed a 3-year agreement with Prodigy. So we'll see. We're seeing Prodigy here. Obviously, we had a great talk with Will Schusterich last week, but to see them show that kind of commitment to these two FPO players just in the last couple of days, great to see. So congratulations to Luca. I assume that was a move that she was excited to make, and we'll see. It also came of that is that she plans to do a little bit more touring and playing here in the U.S. So I think we're going to see more of her for sure playing around. Now, the question is, she threw all pink discs. Every disc in her bag was pink. Do you think she's going to try and do that when she's switching to an all-new Prodigy bag?
Yes.
Okay.
It seems like her. It seems like one of her things. I mean, if I was going to say, if Dixon Jowers ever changed sponsors, you think he'd stop holding a towel? It's one of those things that probably just makes you feel comfortable. And frankly, I love pink discs because they're really easy to find
all year long.
Correct.
That's one of the beauties.
It doesn't matter when or almost where you are, because pink just isn't usually a natural color that we find out in nature.
Yeah.
So pink is just great.
You have a variety of hot pink.
You should.
No, you do. So
I have one pink disc in my bag somewhere. My bag's out in my car for the first time in years.
Anyway, so we'll see Luca out there, and again, we wish her the best of luck. And then the rumor mill, and normally I'm not always necessarily just following the board, but it's also been talked about for a while now, as there's some speculation, and throwing out the name Calvin Heimberg. It's been either, again, sleuthed or otherwise. I don't know if sleuthed is an official past tense verb there. But
we'll go with it.
That Calvin Heimberg having conversations. Some people have placed him in Emporia, having conversations with Dynamic Disc. Of course, I know nothing, as usual.
EMAC just posts a emoji with a mouth zipper closed. I think in reference to our Heimberg talk.
Oh, I thought he got braces and he got his mouth wired shut.
That could be.
Either way, that's one conversation that I think a lot of people are having. Of course, we're not breaking any news in that sense. Well, maybe to some of you we are, but
if you don't pay attention to the internet,
yep.
It's been on some boards that you're right. He was seen in Emporia. Their DD has hinted at another player being signed. I don't know if they're talking about Calvin or not, but the last thing that I checked in on with Calvin was just confirming that yes, his his agreement with Innova is over. Because if Innova is still following most of the same patterns that they did just 2 years ago, most of the team Innova is on a 1-year handshake deal. Now, there are some exceptions that I think Nate Sexton, you have a few other players, but Paul had told us when he left that Innova did year by year just handshake agreements for most of their players, and that almost nothing was on paper for Innova as well. I know DD got a little bit of kickback for that particular
business model
with Page, but I mean, it's not an uncommon one in our sport, as we've seen and heard that Innova does the same thing. So I'll say whoever gets Calvin is doing pretty well. If he stays with Innova, I think that's a really good move for Innova, because I think Calvin is he has a lot of future potential. I mean, we've already seen what he can do. He won 2 national tours this year. He has potential to put up probably major wins. If he goes to DD, that's awesome for DD, because there is a stigma with DD that, for a long time they were the FPO team. They had all the top FPO players, but, their MPO players weren't usually in the top 5. A lot of solid 10 to 15s, 5 to 15, sorry. But just never that one that you're going to bet on as a surefire victory like a Ricky, a Paul, Simon, Eagle. And really, it's just those 4, to be honest. But if Calvin moves over to DD, I think that immediately flips the script on that particular, we'll say, convention or thought process, because Calvin is a surefire pick every week. There's not a type of course that doesn't seem to benefit him. Long, short, wooded, open. He seems to play well at all types of courses. So I think it would be really great if DD got him. Plus, I always like to see a little bit of parity amongst the manufacturers. We got Kevin Jones and Chris Dickerson over at Prodigy. You've got Ricky and James Conrad over at Innova. Paul Yulee over at Discraft. And having Calvin and your Zach Melton and Chris Clemens and Eric Oakley all over at DD, I think it kind of flattens the field a little bit. I don't want to see 1 or 2 manufacturers stock up on all the players.
Well, we will see how that unfolds, because it sounds like the off-season changes are far from complete. And I think, obviously, this next 3 weeks is where still a lot of moves can be made, just because we enter into that first of the year. Jordan Castro is out on the board, and also maybe giving this hint as if there's some other news or announcements. Some people may have that calendar deadline of December 31st to either leave or get out of a contract, or possibly, come January 1st, announce a new contract. So I don't think we're fully in the clear. I think a lot of them, of course, are set and have been discussed and hammered out, but I think there's a little bit more to go yet.
That we see, well, outside of Calvin making an announcement, one or the other, but we see at least one more relatively top name in one of the divisions make an announcement.
Wow, that's a really bold statement.
No, it's not at all. I'm just,
where can I place a bet on that?
Here with me, anytime, the over and I'm trying to think of what an over-under on player rating.
I was going to say, Derek, could you throw out a name on anyone?
No, honestly, I have no ideas. I'm just thinking like 10-20. Do you see any more 10-20
sure
and above players changing sponsors before the season?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I would not.
We'll say for FPO 940 and above.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see anything like that still happen. As I'm actually kind of now just sorted through our PDGA stats and looking at, most of them are in fact set as I scroll down the list, but there's still room. I think something could still happen. And speaking of the PDGA, PDGA ratings update day again today, the last one, I believe, of 2019. It'd be weird if there was another one before the end of the year. Paul Macbeth remains at 1060. It's been a while since I actually just put them in a lineup and just scrolled down and actually looked at them. But to see Macbeth at 1060 and then Wysocki and McMahon at both at 1049. Now they are tied for that second place spot overall in terms of their rating, both tied at 1049, 11 points behind Macbeth, and then 8 points behind them, tied, two good friends who I'll see this weekend, Chris Dickerson and Calvin Heimberg, both at that 1041 mark. Simon Lizotte rounds out the 1040s and up at exactly at 1040. So you want to take a guess? I don't think you've seen. Take a guess at most PDGA cash this year, what that number is? Whom and the number in which they reached?
I'm going to guess it's Paul.
Okay, well, that's clever.
Yeah. 53,000.
Okay, not too bad. As of right now, it shows Paul Macbeth at 57,000. And how crazy. Wysocki and McMahon, who are tied for, as I just mentioned, the second highest rating in the PDG at 1049, they are only separated by $150 in terms of winnings. They're both at 40,000 and change, 40,580 and 40,430. So just really kind of crazy when you look at it that way. Eagle did play 4 more events than Ricky. As we know, Ricky actually had to withdraw from a couple of really big ones to finish out the year. So you would think even if he, I don't want to say limped in, but even played mediocre, he likely would have had, that second place
1,000,
outright.
1,500.
But yeah, it looks like he's going to probably finish second. Well, I don't know. Eagles playing this weekend. If he can pick up a couple $100, he's going to surpass.
Push him over the edge.
for second on that
2.
money winnings list. So.
I mean, that's a resume builder right there.
Yeah, yes. Are they in Florida or Arkansas or Mississippi somewhere this weekend? We'll get the scoop in a moment here.
Alabama, right?
We'll go with that. I think that's where they are. Anything else in terms? I know we're just kind of hammering right through news about the sponsorship stuff, but that's really been a large portion of the conversation that's been taking place over the last few days.
The Disc Golf Pro Tour made an announcement about looking for some employees. They were looking for a lot of media employees. So I believe I'll have to pull exactly what those 2 positions were that they were looking for, or 3 even.
I believe there was a media manager and some other. Johnny will pull up the list for you, but you can go out to dgpt.com, right there posted on the front of the website.
A marketing and retail manager, so that's probably someone that's going to be doing, obviously, marketing and then working. My guess is retail is either going to be handled fulfillment or maybe during events actually selling.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's if you
retail
clicked on
manager.
it
I'm not going to click. I'm just going to guess.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, they're right here, but too much work.
I know that PDF thing would be really tough to click on.
A media manager.
Yep.
And media and operations coordinator, which I have to assume has something to do with media.
Really? Maybe even coordinating a few things.
Let's not push it, Terry. Let's not push
very
it.
impressed. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of that, well, no, the PDF you were in, goes as far as even listing out, of course, with all the criteria and such, compensation, when it talks about it, says a full-time, year-round salaried position.
For the media manager.
Simple IRA 401k plan with business contributions, paid time off and sick leave, paid holidays, access to employee health, dental, and vision insurance. I think I need to quit here.
Okay.
Whatever I'm doing.
I'm sorry. Was I supposed to stop you?
And I think I need to move into the Pro Tours.
Is that
setup.
a conflict of interest if Smashbox is doing media that you are not the media manager? I mean, we can just
somewhere.
Say no. Let's just say no.
Okay, no,
right,
definitely not. Lawyers be damned. No. So go out there. Application deadline is set for December 23rd, I believe, on all 3 of the positions. So if you feel like you're qualified, go out and find those again, dgpt.com. So exciting. Kind of funny, you were talking a little bit about parody earlier, just seeing that we saw an announcement a few weeks ago, PDGA looking for another person to kind of be one of the media assets and people out on a course or at events to travel around. You got to wonder where some of those are different or where some of those may or may not be similar or overlap. I think the DGPT ones are a little bit more focused on actually being operators and editors more so than what we saw from the PDGA. So I guess what's great is if you're looking to break into the scene or to try out a position, there are a couple of different ones with different skill sets and different skills, not skill sets, but different, maybe some varying experience that may suit you a little bit better, one over the other. So good luck on all that. Just think.
No.
I mean, really think 10 years ago, if you said 10 years ago, 2009 or 10, who was Disc Golf Media? Anywhere, any of the companies, tours or otherwise, who was Disc Golf Media?
10 years ago, you're looking at very early Disc Golf Planet, I believe. Was that 2009, the first year?
Yep.
Was Media Marty out there in 2009?
No.
Not quite doing that.
I don't know if he knew what disc golf was yet.
I mean, other than that, it was really the PDGA magazine.
Maybe some Hot Shots by Johnny Bodemer.
Yes.
Maybe some Clash DVDs. Billy Crump.
Correct.
There was a couple of Vibram / Maple Hill DVDs.
MSDGC ones.
Yep, MSDGC. Thanks.
That's what you were looking
Dodge.
at. It's some DVD production and a little bit of photography and article writing for our magazine. And we have, 10 years is a long time. We have a lot of new options for media. I'm thinking about a website. It's gonna be it's gonna be the central hub for all
disc golf. Okay. Yep. Okay. Go on. And you'll just feed everything into this one website.
Everything will be into this one website,
so nobody has to go anywhere else.
Oh, correct. You just go to one place for everything.
I like that idea, and the 48 other people that have told us they're doing it.
Or a disc golf calendar. Just saying.
Oh, now you're gonna. Sorry, Aaron. I think someone else. I saw someone else posted today. I did get that suggestion a few days ago, saying you really should make a disc golf calendar, and it was at my tournament a couple weeks ago. I appreciate the idea, and I gave the same story that no one wants to buy them. I mean, they're a great idea. People love getting them for free. Maybe there's a few of you that went out and picked up, we'll say, an Innova version, and they do a great job of it.
One of the full color 12-month calendars. If you were to tell me I had to invest in that, I'd probably buy about 200 of them. I think that's about what you would sell. Is 200 calendars.
No,
not even that many.
No,
I don't know. I think I could sell 200.
I don't think you could. I really don't. Again, it's been around. The idea has been there for a long time, but I just not, especially in this day and age. And I know people say, "Oh, I really like it. I put it up on my fridge, and then me and all the kids always know where I need to go."
I'm just thinking. No, I would not put it in my house. I put it like an office or a garage or something like that.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Just sexy pictures of Eric McCabe. That's my whole calendar. January through December. I think that sells.
Again, no.
Well, there goes my only idea.
I love me some Eric McCabe. But no, not going to happen. All right. I'm going to see again if Eric and Tina are ready to go. I'll be the first to admit that we didn't have a final communication. They said they were on board. And I apologize. We're going to have to just spend a second here to make sure that they're going to be good to go here. Quick side note before they do join us. They have some pretty ridiculous internet down there.
In Pensacola?
In Pensacola. I didn't know if you know about this, but yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. And it's so silly. I realize that here we are on a Disc Golf podcast talking about internet speeds, but
depends. We're in Pensacola because we have an office in Pensacola that we use the local internet provider, which I believe we use. Might be Cox down in Pensacola. Not 100% sure.
I know they've gone with AT&T, and
Oh, so they got the AT&T fiber.
I was just, yeah, exactly. And I was
Which is what I
talking to
have
them
here.
about it, which is just, again, if you are anywhere in disc golf media because you upload or usually uploading a lot of video, you're transferring over video files or just uploading to YouTube, or you're doing a live streaming setup such as this, it's funny how excited you get over, like, oh, they've got good internet somewhere. You want to go take advantage of it. So we'll see if they're ready. Okay, so Tina says that she's ready, so hopefully she can just dial in on Skype, unless you have them all ready to go yourself. But we're going to see if we can get them here in just a moment. I'd like to thank our super chatters. I think I saw Disc Baron jump in there. We've missed you the last few weeks, but we still recognize you, buddy. Disc Baron, please go out and check him out. Find them online. If you need to make any disc golf purchases, Disc Baron's such a huge supporter of both SmashBoxxTV and of the Disc Golf Guy video blogs, so we fully endorse them and appreciate it. And 888 Huskers. Is that a website by chance that we shouldn't be advertising? But 888 Huskers also with the super chat contribution. We very much appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I'm just going to assume that's someone in Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds a little less fun.
It is.
Okay. So it sounds like they are getting there, is the official terminology that I was just told. In the meantime, wow, as I'm going through the list, it looks like we did hit on a ton of items. I got a few for later. Another quick item, though, we want to touch on. Just till December 25th, Birdie is operating on Kickstarter. Just last night or the night before, Steve Dodge and his brother Todd, I believe, went over to Paul Macbeth's house Paul and Hannah's, my correction, went over to their place in Virginia, and Simon Lizotte was there along with Nick Carl, and they played Birdie. So I think Simon is going to have a vlog as a result of that, but I know that the Kickstarter is still going on. Last time I checked today, it was at roughly 25,000 out of the 40,000 mark that it needs to hit. So I know a lot of the options and opportunities are still available. Clearly, it's got some great backing and some great steam at this point, and momentum moving in. And we'll see if he can get to it. That means it's just about 2 weeks away, 2 weeks and a day away from the deadline. And I believe it's an all or nothing setup in that case, unlike a GoFundMe where you get the money regardless of if a goal is met or not. This is set as an all or nothing setup. So if he does not get to that $40,000 mark, no one is charged and no one gets anything, and the game likely won't be produced, at least in the same fashion. So go check it out.
We actually...
Do we have a link even?
We do have a link. So
I should put that out there, make that available.
You should. It's actually it's a bit.ly link. So it's bit.ly / SmashBox Birdie. So if you go out, if you're interested in the Birdie board game, you can go to our bit.ly link, and that's bit.ly / SmashBox Birdie. And honestly, it will. It's kind of like a referral link, so it sends you to the Kickstarter page. But then Steve happens to know how many Birdie boxes that we particularly drive.
Yeah. So
and we got this link last week, and I know a lot of you, if you were interested, you probably already
got on board with
it. But if for those of you maybe that have been on the fence about it, if you're interested, like I said, just use our bit.ly / SmashBox Birdie, and there may be a special karma card.
What?
Yeah. I don't know if we're at liberty to say that there's going to be a SmashBox card.
Yeah, I think we can tell people that.
Yeah, so there's looking to be a SmashBox card. So if we can get, not if, but we would love to see some of our Smashies get on that link if you're interested and go for that. I'm excited to see the SmashBox card.
And just also to follow that up and be clear, We are not paid nor endorsed, or in any way do we get anything from you going there from our link per se. It's really just a tracking mechanism, but we don't get any actual kickback from that. It's more of a marketing. It's a marketing metric of sorts, but that has no eventual payoff for us whatsoever. Really, just trying to see who gets there and how do they get there.
Now, I think with Bitly's, you need it might need to be capitalized. So I'm going to copy this because there's a capital S, a capital B, and a capital B.
Yeah, I'm glad I did it that way now.
Good idea, Terry. Way to do that. Here, I'm gonna paste it in our board. I'll also probably put it in the note. I'll put it in the show notes as well, underneath in the video.
I wonder if I could just change it.
Let's not, now that we've put it out there, Terry. Let's not just change it. So it's bit.ly/SmashBoxxBirdie, capital S, capital B in box, capital B in birdie. We make it easy. That's our motto.
So easy. And right now the pledge is sitting at $25,181 with 334 backers.
That's great.
So incredible. Yeah,
that is
very
incredible.
cool to see.
Good for Steve.
All right. Tina Oakley says, we are ready. I said, dial up on Skype. She said, K, and I said, let's go.
Yeah, have them call us. Because I don't know which account they're calling from. I don't know if it's the same one that I worked with Eric the other last month or so.
All right. In the meantime, thank you guys for joining us. Seth Fenley says, if I click on that link, am I going to get rickrolled? Yeah.
You might.
It's always worth finding out, isn't it?
Actually, you know what? I think I found it. I can give them a call if we need to. It was under Tina's maiden name, which is why it wasn't coming up.
Go ahead and give it a try. We'll see if we can get this ball rolling. We'll see. Can anybody hear that ringing?
No, we're the
Darn,
only ones
that's
that can
too
hear the
bad.
ringing right now.
I really like the ringing when we're trying to call people.
Do you?
It sounds great. I like it.
Well, I mean, it's there, but no one should be able to hear it.
All right. They don't seem to be answering. This is proving to be more challenging than I thought it would.
Fast internet does not necessarily
I mean, quick with pressing buttons.
stick with pressing buttons.
All right.
This is the advantage of live. This is what I heard.
Yes.
All those other podcasts that record and edit out the bad stuff.
All right. Who needs all that? We can go live. And it looks like I can see Eric Oakley hanging out in our Disc Baron digital green room. He's going to get a few things set up. His lighting looks good. And looks like he's going to have probably Tina here join us in a minute. I'm not sure if that echo is something that he hears or if that's just on our end.
Eric, before we go live and bring you on, is there... Well, hold on. We were getting an echo from you for a second, and it seems like the echo might be gone. Terry?
Yep, it seems as if it's gone, and we're good to go.
All right, and now, without any further ado, we are going to bring on... Oh, my Lord. That is not an Oakley. That is a Walker.
Oh, goodness.
And we're not talking...
Madison Walker.
It's with a Twizzler.
With the Twizzler.
I'm not sure what she's doing with a Twizzler. All right, here we are. Welcome to the show, Eric and Tina Oakley. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good.
Did the new house come with a Walker? I mean, is that just what happens when you buy a house in Pensacola?
They have inspections
Yeah.
for that, you know.
Yeah, some old hag.
You get stuck with this.
I don't know. I would have made sure that got caught in an
the homeowner inspection.
Yeah,
I
for
definitely would have moved for that.
I missed it, so here we are.
Well,
I don't know. I think it's the deal of the century.
yeah, you would.
Yeah.
But
All right. So Madison Walker also here on the couch. Now, Madison, what was the welcome party like there in your hometown? Pensacola.
They're more excited to see Tina and Eric than they are to see me, if we're being honest.
They're sick of her.
I mean, you have been home for how long?
My whole life.
I mean, except for when you're on the
Just kidding.
tour.
I've been home since the end of October.
Okay, and what is the proximity? We don't need addresses, but what's the proximity of where your home front is as opposed to theirs?
Pretty far.
20
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, 20, 25.
Okay.
I live like way in North Pensacola, and they live in West Pensacola, closer
So-
to the beach.
We're actually in Pensacola. She's pretty much in Milton.
She's
Oh,
somewhere
she's
else.
over in like Milton. That's almost Crestview. You don't
I'm
want to
not
I'm
mess.
kidding.
even
She's
close.
not. I knew that would get her.
You don't.
Not
You
in
don't want to.
Milton, don't love me.
You
But
don't
we're
want to
closer
be
to
the
Alabama.
Milton people.
Yeah, we are closer to Alabama, basically. So, roll Tide. That's what I figured out down here.
You got to get Matty O over. He'll get you learned real good. All right. Well, congratulations, you guys. Very exciting and not necessarily expected. I mean, in the sense that you guys have been living in an RV and you've been on tour, making that your life, making that your career. How do you build and save up for the idea of having a home front as well, an actual house?
How do we save up, Eric?
Very well. Hurry up. Let's go.
Okay, Tina, you have a banking background, right? Can you some applied lessons here?
Yeah, I used to be a banker, so I've always been pretty good with money and budgeting, and I'm successful.
Yes. Yes. And she's
Whale
successful.
tax is killing it.
Yeah,
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
the
this
business
is the
has been
house that
great,
Whale Sacks
and-
built.
keeping him on a leash with his spending habits has helped.
She,
for sure.
she got me to pretty much be completely debt free. I had a lot of debt when we first started dating and was able to work that off. And another part that really helped was we both had really solid credit. So getting a loan wasn't that much of an issue either, and we got good rates. So it worked out really well.
With my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Madison's dad actually
Your dad's
was
our
our loan
mortgage
officer.
guy.
He's
Uh-oh.
a senior loan officer.
And you guys did not go through Johnny V's company, Nightberry Title. Is that what I heard?
Not for the title work. I looked up the day of the
Oh.
closing. I looked at our closers in Pensacola, and I was like,
Cut him.
I
Cut him.
don't-
Cut him right now.
I'm like, I don't
Here,
see
we
any
got
Oakleys.
family here.
Yeah.
You
No,
did say
that's the
this.
banker. This is the
And I
title.
did.
This is the title company. That's two
Wow.
different things. Or,
Oh, yeah,
Madison,
you're right.
I'm gonna have to talk to your dad about what title company they use in Pensacola because
Call him.
we're gonna work on that.
Trust me,
Nice.
you don't want to call him.
It could be pretty entertaining.
He's a riot.
So, why Pensacola?
That's
Man.
funny. That's funny because today my sister called me. She was like, "Did Tina and Eric really move to Pensacola?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Why?" I mean, I get that Pensacola is great and has a beach and everything, but like out of everywhere in the nation, they picked Pensacola, and I'm like, I don't know. And so I'm curious too.
But I think everybody thinks that of
the
their
housing
hometown.
market's actually pretty cheap, and the weather's really good through the winter, especially when we're going to be spending most of our time here. And the beaches are pretty spectacular, and Tina
Beautiful.
can't get enough of it. So
I love the beach. We wanted to do like an ocean town anyways, but I'm not a big city kind of person. I grew up near Minneapolis, and it's just like, it's fun, but if you're like driving in it every single day, I just couldn't do that anymore. So Pensacola is like pretty small, but still has the same kind of,
that's
I
everything.
need a
you
Joann
need.
Fabrics and,
Movie
Starbucks.
theaters.
We have like 70,000 people, but like somehow not very much traffic.
Yeah, it's nice. And then the beach is really what did it. When Eric and I came here, actually, we bought our RV, the one that's out there,
Mhm.
in
In
Milton.
Milton.
So pretty much Pensacola 2 years
It's not
ago.
the same.
Yeah,
3 years ago?
it was 2 years
It's
ago.
not the same. So we came here to buy the RV, but the first thing we did, we went to the beach, and Nate Perkins was like fishing off of a sandbar, but he was like 100 feet out into the ocean, but up to his ankles. And like a school of manta rays just like swam by him, and he could touch them. And we saw dolphins, and it was just like,
Wow.
okay, touche, Pensacola.
How would you guys describe, for maybe someone that hasn't either visited there or isn't familiar with that area, how would any of you, how would you guys describe Pensacola to someone who's never been to that area? The city, the community.
Very typical beach town.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, but
Super
Like-
seasonal, but with a pretty strong local crowd as well.
yeah. And then if you were to picture what like Alabama, like most of the people in Alabama, how they act and how they are, picture them on the beach, and then that's Pensacola.
Yeah. Mix a beach town with like super redneck.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when we're here, it's not super crowded, which I really like. So
Mhm.
we've gone to the beach a handful of times and maybe have seen like 10 people tops. So it's not like Miami where the beaches are just going to have like 100 people and it's just like chaos. You kind of get the beach to yourself, which I just
One of the
love.
beaches that's closest to their house, if you go out there, like I went out last year at like 5 p.m. and I was the first footsteps on the beach.
That's
It's
crazy.
like, yeah, you can do that.
It's
We walked probably like 500 or 600 feet away from our sandals and stuff while we were shell hunting the other day, and nobody even came anywhere near our stuff. So it was like you didn't even have to worry, which is, I feel like if you're in other places, you kind of stay near your stuff. But I don't know. It was really cool.
I've been getting a lot of Florida beaches. We were just I was just in Destin and Panama City Beach for Thanksgiving. And then we went through Seaside. We did the whole beach tour. Saw all 17 people that still live in Seaside right now.
That's nice.
Seaside is gorgeous. It was where the Truman Show was filmed, and it literally in the off season has 17 permanent residents. And other than that, apparently it's a town of about 1,200 that are there mostly seasonal. But every house there is about $1.8 million.
Crazy.
I was gonna say we should move there. No,
You don't.
We don't have any money.
It's the cutest. It's the cutest little beach city. But yes, it is not. It is not for us mere mortals.
So as you guys are putting yourselves into this place, is that the plan of renting it out throughout the season when you're gone, or are you going to leave pockets and keep it on reserve for when you might need it outside of just the off season, or what's kind of the plan there?
We're definitely planning on doing like an Airbnb kind of thing. There's a lot we have to figure out. You have to like do different insurance, and we want like a security system and all that jazz. But since we're going to be gone so much anyways, somebody might as well use it. And we're kind of planning our aesthetics to appeal to people that would rent for Airbnb, and we're close to town too. So, yeah, that's definitely the future. I'm not sure how far out that will be, but kind of the plan right now. I might come home somewhat often. I work a normal job kind of deal more than Eric does, so he's going to be on tour full time. I might come home for a week or two here and there and try to buckle down and get some work done. So that was kind of the appeal too, is that we'd have a home base for me to go back to if I was sick of being on the road all the time. So, and in a more affordable way too, because if you go rent a hotel for, a week at a time and do that a few times a year, like it's so expensive.
We have 2 vehicles, so we're towing a little Honda Fit behind the RV, so it makes separating if we need to while we're on the road, and not a relationship sense, but in a
I don't think they thought that.
She's got her fingers crossed behind her back.
But
Hold on to her.
so if we need to go different ways, it makes it a lot easier for both of us, and it's super easy because we can make decisions on who takes the RV, if who takes the car type of situation. Because if it's a longer drive, then maybe Tina wants to take the RV so she can pull off and take us and sleep and stuff like that. But we still also want to be able to run events. But last year we test ran it, and I was able to run some events out of the car after Beaver State Fleeing, heading towards Ledgestone, and it was very successful.
And I went and saw Erica.
Yeah, you went to Zootown, and we it worked out really well because I just took a smaller setup and was still able to do the things that we like to do while we're on the road. And if it's just me, then it's still going to work out.
May your united hearts never separate.
Thank you, Terry.
Can we all say goodbye to Madison? She's gonna go home now. She doesn't want to hang out with us
So
anymore.
soon, Madison?
So soon.
We only had like 16 people ask for you to stay.
16.
Oh,
Wow, you're so
100.
wise.
1600. All right, Madison, if you're not going to stick around and hang out with us.
Who you asked to be on the show and then who crashed the show.
I know it was a little awkward, full disclosure. I was on the phone with Madison yesterday, asking about maybe her and Tina doing the commentary. I'm like, hey, since I'm on the phone with you and you're at their house, can you ask them to be on the show tomorrow?
This question is not for you.
And I was like, okay, cool. You just call me and ask for them to do stuff, and I'll just relay the message. Cool, all right.
You're such a
We've hired
good friend.
Madison as a
In all
receptionist.
seriousness,
That's great.
In all
We
seriousness,
also have an extra bedroom for me. We haven't talked about it yet, but it's
Just bring a sleeping bag. That's all, that's all you need.
Mads, in all seriousness, real quick, how are you feeling? How's any injuries or off-season routine or big things coming?
the finger's still a thing. It's not, the swelling's gone down, so it's
Yeah, other way. There you go.
this finger. But the swelling's gone way down, and I can throw. I went and played last week for the first time since Hall of Fame, and it worked. But it got a little bit angry, so I think I'm just gonna have to. It's ligament, so it could take a really long time to heal. My doctor said it could be 6 months to a year. So I'm just gonna take it real slow, manage it, try to take care of it. I've been icing it twice a day in an ice bath, and I'm trying to just do these. I have like little putty, and I do exercises with it. And I mean, all I can really do is just, like I said, manage it and be patient. But I can putt with no pain, and I've been doing my Disc Golf Strong workouts. Shout out Seth Muncie is the man for helping all of the athletes. Check out his exercises, and yeah, pretty much just hanging out at home, visiting my family. So it's been great.
And I was gonna say,
And my new family.
and your new family. And for all of you really big Madison Walker fans, January 6th, the first one of the new year, will be the Madison Walker highlight video from Smashbox this year.
Wow.
Terry, you didn't even tell me.
'Cause I didn't do it.
I literally messaged you on Facebook, Madison. I left it open private for you. I said, hey, Madison, if you want to take a look at this, go ahead. And that now it's private, so you can't see it. But
Johnny B, why did you send me that? Oh my gosh, I just get
She
so
has you
many
blocked.
messages. It's
Oh, I
so
know.
hard.
I'm
so many. I'm
so popular.
No. Yeah, so
I'm honored. Thank you.
I'm busy
No.
trying to get adopted to other people's families. I'm so popular.
Yes.
Everybody wants a piece of this.
Yeah, so we've next Kevin Jones premiered today.
Just
Next
so you
week,
can see my finger injury. I'm just kidding.
next week is Katrina Allen, then Sarah Hokum, James Conrad, then Madison Walker. So these are all highlight videos coming up. Madison, you are the first one of the new year. We will make sure to alert you so you can share it with everybody once you go live.
And I'll make sure to probably miss the message. Just kidding.
I'll just have Terry call you.
Okay, I'll let you guys do what you came to do, and
Yeah, see, it says the Oakley.
yeah, the Oakleys. And I'm just it's
Madison Oakley.
Wait, can I give a fun fact really quick because this is hilarious?
Uh-huh.
I actually crashed there. Was it? Remember when we
Friendship?
were in Missoula? You were
Wedding?
in the hotel room by yourself, romantic
Tour?
night.
We had an anniversary.
Was it anniversary?
Mm-hmm.
What was I there? Or was it Valentine? No.
It was Valentine's Day.
It was
She
Valentine's
crashed our Valentine's Day.
I hung out with them on Valentine's Day in the evening. I was one of them.
We had a fancy
That's
hotel room, and
right.
she stayed with us pretty much the whole
This
night.
isn't the first time.
Madison was dateless.
It was
Wow.
on Eric's
On
wedding,
Valentine's
yes.
Day?
Huh. Madison, dateless, Valentine's. Oh,
Weird.
weird.
Oh my!
Aw.
It's a choice.
We
Okay.
had 2 dates.
See, I'm dating
For everyone
you.
else, maybe.
You're dating yourself.
Exactly. I love Emma Watson. I relate to her. heavily.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, enough
Sure.
of this. I'm leaving.
Oh, not soon enough. Okay, thank you, Madison.
I'm Madison.
Bye, Mad.
Bye,
All right, change your locks. Change your locks. Change your locks.
Angel now.
All right. No. So obviously, having someone like Madison, who's familiar with the city, is she provided any additional insight that you guys maybe didn't know about ahead of time, or even helping select where you moved or some of the places you were looking at? Was she helpful in any of those ways, or no?
Was Madison helpful?
I know we all chuckle.
Definitely like when we first came and visited. So this will be the 3rd time we've come back to Pensacola. So, I mean, the first 2 times she showed us around. There's this little bar called Paradise that we go to, and she taught us about bushwhackers, which is like a drink they have here, and
Delicious.
kind of like the perfect beach spots to go shelling because I love shelling. But actual location for like our house, our realtor was like on it. So
Yeah. She kind of wouldn't even show us houses if they were in a pretty rough neighborhood.
mhm.
So she'd be like, no chance. Like, I'm not like, even if it's a good price and it looks nice, I'm not even going to take you there. So that was
Yeah.
really cool of her.
So
Yeah, but
go ahead.
early on, I would send Madison links all the time. Like, look at this house I found. Is this in a okay neighborhood? And
Mhm.
she's like giving me feedback, like, oh, you don't want to go there. So early on, yeah.
No, that's super helpful, and so I'll take it a step further and just ask. Again, it's a big step. We don't see a lot of our touring disc golfers, whether it's the financial means or even just the I don't want to say the capacity, but to take that huge step to make that commitment to a house. To see you guys doing it relatively early on is a huge accomplishment. What would be tips or tricks that you would share with someone, or maybe that you will share with some of your fellow, hardcore tour mates?
I mean, from a money standpoint, like, I don't want to say like it's well known, but like we work really hard.
Hustle.
Eric doesn't just play. Like,
Mhm.
we do clinics pretty much every city that we go to. We run events, and
We're a wholesaler.
we sell discs, and we sell discs online, and we sell whale sacks online. And I mean, I work way more than I want to with the whole whale sacks thing, but it's good too because it also gives us a venue to sell hats and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, like Eric said,
We like our retail shop. We move a lot of plastic throughout the year. We've done special runs that have helped while we were in Europe, while we were at GPO, those types of things, and those have brought a lot of value to what we're doing. And it just kind of uh, opened our eyes to understanding how easy the tour life can be. Um, now that we've established ourselves. When we were first going at it and being on tour, it was a big grind. Like, we would go out, set up, and maybe make $100, and that's like, okay, cool. It's better. $100 is better than nothing. And then that 100 became 300, and then 500, and now we're settling into a really good spot where sometimes we get a great event, and we're making quite a bit of money, and that allows for us to kind of think bigger with our plans and our future. And this was definitely something we talked about because we've done every off season in an RV as well, so we haven't gotten out of it. And
so that's a
the
big part
space
of it
was really
too.
becoming an issue.
Our bills have been really small.
Yes.
Like, we haven't had a mortgage payment or a rent
Mhm.
payment forever.
Mhm.
I bought that RV from working at the bank, and so we haven't had to pay any money unless we're camping or paying for gas. And so most of the money that we are taking in, we're not just dishing back out to pay all these bills either. We get to actually throw it in my savings account. And then a really big turning point, like if we're talking about how we were able to do it, Dynamic really stepped up with Eric's sponsorship last year and again this year. So, I mean, if we're really calling it like it is, like, they've supported him a lot, and it's shown, I think, in his play too, that he's been able to focus a lot more. And so then the tournament winnings are coming in, as well as Dee Dee's support with our gas and stuff like that too.
Mhm.
So I think that's really made a big difference and allowed him to focus on playing a little bit more too.
And you guys recently, as of less than a week ago, Eric, you signed an extension with Dee Dee.
Mhm.
Is that correct? A 1-year extension onto the 2 years that you already had left. So it's a full
Yes.
additional now
One-
3 years from now, correct?
And that was also to kind of put things in pen to paper. I know that's been a lot of big conversation that's been talked about, and I'd asked for that for a couple of years, but I respected Dee Dee's wishes in the years past because it hadn't become an
To
issue.
just do agreements.
Yeah, because
before.
it's kind of we're gonna take care of each other. We're gonna honor things out and make things work. But I think it's better to cover everybody's asses, if you will. And
Can you say that?
probably
It's the internet. We can say whatever we want.
We let Madison Walker on the show. We can clearly do whatever we want. There's no regulations here.
It's been good.
Well, that's awesome to see. And of course, there's been a lot of conversation, like you just mentioned, about the policies, the procedures, the agreements, handshakes, hugs, and all of that. And it just feels like disc golf in general is continuing to grow up. And it's great that we've had that family-like atmosphere and that trust and those relationships. But the first thing people would say if anything ever goes awry is, what? There was no contract? So, it's just, I think it's commonplace in every other sports industry, of course. So for us to be moving, to evolving into that makes perfect sense as well. And it provides security for both of you guys, for both sides.
Yeah. It means there's more money involved too. Like, the contracts that existed a couple of years ago where there wasn't like a salary per se, there was just like some bonuses and, here you can have some discs and stuff like that. Like, if somebody messes up their end of that bargain, it's not really a big deal. But as disc golf's grown, like you just said, and really a lot with like Paul's contract coming out last year, lots of things have changed since then. And so, there's bigger numbers at play here, and it's becoming more of a professional sport where people actually understand that we're working literally full time, more than normal full-time jobs to do this. So, getting actually paid for it is worth it to companies. So there's more at stake. So having a signature on the line makes a lot more sense.
And the touring professionals started talking a little bit more about, kind of what everybody was getting. So it kind of turned into like an equal pay type of situation, if you will, because, we understood what equal pay is not the right word, competitive pay. Is what started happening more is I was talking to so-and-so and I heard that, wait, you're getting that much? He'd be like, oh, you're getting this in bonuses? And so we started to kind of help each other in some ways to make sure that we're all getting the competitive wage that I feel like we deserve to be able to continue to play and continue to cement ourselves in this sport and continue to make that impact that we're all trying to do. That's good.
That's got to be really tough because we talk about it a lot here. We're still kind of blazing that trail, so to speak, as to exactly what that worth is. Where you finish on the podium or not. Are you in the top 10s? Are you in the top 20s? How many events are you going to? What scale of those events are you at? What's your international or local presence like? Clubs and clinics. I mean, all of those things. And then, of course, the big, global concept of just social media. All of those things play in. Is it tough to really kind of gauge or even scale yourself against, I'll say, a fellow teammate like a Chris Clemens or someone from another team like we'll say a Nate Perkins over at Discmania or a Reed for Skier over at Discraft? Is it kind of, they're never apples to apples.
No, you just have to understand that, they've, how long have they been with the company to understand that, part of what they're getting paid might be on merit and how long they've been there. And then, understanding what they're doing outside the sport. If they're just players and they're making more than you are after you're out there running a bunch of events and doing a bunch of stuff, now that seems a little off. Maybe they just got a really good deal and that's fine. So it comes down to a lot of it because I am a product of social media and event running first. And I had my most successful year this past year with the finishes and things like that. And so I started to see a little bit more of the play side of that. I've earned the amount of money I'm making based on play as well. So it kind of comes down to you have to look at the whole spectrum that you just laid out, Terry, and, find where your strong suits are and hype on those. I have over 20,000 followers on Instagram now, and I can use that as I'm so special. I can use that as ammunition when I'm discussing, sponsorship, because that has weight. If I post something, that's 20,000 people who are seeing that, and potentially even more with the use of hashtags.
I was going to say something too, though, that I think it really depends on the companies too, because some companies don't see value in the social media side. I think like a player like Eric to Innova wouldn't be nearly as valuable to them as he is to DD, but they understand or just see the value in the media side. They love the media, they push the media. So Eric makes a lot more sense in that role, and like growing the sport. That's a big thing that DD's behind. And I'm not saying Innova doesn't care about it. That's not my point. It's just they see more value in top tier players that are winning events and placing really high. So I think it's interesting to see like where people fit with different companies based on what the companies themselves value too.
Well, and with everything you just said, it definitely, to me, comes right back to what Jeremy Rusko was quoted as talking about recently. And that's kind of been circling around because it also has, we'll say, Paul Macbeth implications and other, top tier player implications, where Jeremy has recently, to paraphrase, said, we're trimming down the team slightly, but we're going to be able to focus a little bit more on those top tier players because supporting them and having additional support for them is becoming more and more necessary. If is that kind of one of those situations, like if you're in, you're good, and if you're not, keep trying? I mean, that approach is a little more top heavy. I guess we'll look at it that way. And
which DD hasn't really done. I think they kind of did with Drew when Drew was on the team. And, for whatever reason that didn't work out and things have changed a lot since. But with, plus, I mean, okay, to come from a Packers perspective, they pick up the players, or they have picked up the players that haven't been, of super high talent. And as they've grown with Dynamic, they've grown with their talent. And so, but now that means there's more demand for, compensation as that has grown. So they've kind of had to change the way they've done things in the past because the team that they picked up that may have been
look at DD
lower tier, but
look at our team on the men's side 2 years ago. We were all, kind of doing the same thing. Zach would have I think he was probably had the best year a couple of years ago, and he was compensated for that. He was earning his keep, but Chris and I were, and AJ were just sometimes showing up and but representing the brand really, really well when we were out there and when we were on coverage every once in a while, those types of things.
And likable and media.
And we were doing a lot of events, and what you've seen in those 2 years of us climbing the charts and pushing farther and establishing ourselves and being on more chase cards, league cards, top 10 finishes, you name it. Now that it comes to, we should be compensated for that, especially when, we're also out there running events, being a part of things, being active on social media, where some other players weren't asked to do those things, and they were getting compensated very, very well. So DD, Jeremy, Eric, and Brian and Denise, all working on the team stuff, really, really kind of found a really good way for it to make sense for all of us. And that it really does suck to see some of the players go. They're people I hold dearly. Jordan was in my wedding party, and Missy, somebody we've been very, very close to. Paige was in Tina's wedding party. So you see
your wedding party too.
I guess so.
We had the same party.
Yep. Whatever. I don't know these terms.
it was all a party.
Yeah, it's all a party.
It must have been a great party because he didn't remember.
Yeah. We love them. They're still a part of the disc golf family that we're a part of. So it is a bummer to see them go, but I think, what we're going to see for Dynamic Disc in the future is that, we're going to be able to kind of, pick and choose who we want down the line. It might not be somebody this year or next year, but in a few years, you might see some bigger pushes for that next upcoming talent. And, I think that we have established somebody who's also already very good and has a lot of potential in Isaiah, in Cynthia Ricciardi, in some of these younger players that are on the team as of right now. So kind of, I look at it, I'm going to talk a lot, sorry. I'm going to look at it as a like a farming program, like in other sports, like soccer teams. Like there are teams that are in the second division in Europe, but they're developing talent. Players go there on loan and they get better and better and better. And now you can be that top team, and we can start using our junior team and whatnot to be our farm team and develop these players, and we can work with them a lot more hands on to hopefully have these guys out on tour with us in 5 years. We're paving the way for maybe and some incredible futures in the sport of disc golf for some of these kids who are 15, 16, 17 years old.
Now, it's, as you just mentioned, Paige, of course, Paige Pierce being a good friend of yours and on Team Dynamic prior to you guys. Being a good friend and then seeing her leave this very tight-knit, family-like atmosphere to then have her go over Discraft, is that at all conflicting for you guys in any way? There's the friendship, there's the business, there's the personal, there's all of that kind of comes into play. You guys are about as close with her as anyone else we see out there. Was that like a family member leaving?
I'm definitely bummed that she's leaving, but I don't think that's going to change like our friendship with her at all. It just means like she might not be at the clinics that we're running and like less DD related events, but we talk just as much as ever, and she's on the Whale Sax team, so I have plenty of reason to be intertwined with her anyways. So it's great to see her supported, and I know that it was like a trying decision with everything, and knowing that she was leaving Dynamic, which, like you said, I mean, it's been a family, and it's been really fun to have her a part of all those events, and she's a draw. Let's be real, like she's a big draw to have at all of our clinics and all that too. So that's definitely a downside, but as long as our friends are getting taken care of, I mean, that's number one.
Yeah.
As long as she's happy and in a good place, then it's good.
I do think it does shake up quite a bit of what DD's now going to do in with what Jeremy said. He's able to put a lot more focus in on the players that are here with Paige Bierkus, AJ Risley, Chris Clemens, Zach Melton, and myself, and Tina being on the road as well. She's actually probably one of the biggest things to have out on the road because she's a media person. So we have legitimately a traveling media person to where if we have an idea, we have a video that we want to do, we can do it. That not every company has that type of asset. So having that for us is like pushing. Is DD's now like, all right, let's hype on this. Let's put you guys in. I don't know if you guys have been watching the DD social media at all. You've seen a lot more Chris Clemens. You've seen a lot more myself. You've seen less of some of the employees at the store being in some of the ads because they value that and they want to make that a little bit more precedence, is putting our faces out there and pushing that as much as possible. So I think Paige leaving, and you're seeing this, shake up and I mean, Paige's social media presence has incredibly boomed since she left. And I, part of me wishes like, why wouldn't you do that all year while you were with DD? But she was doing a lot of other stuff. She was promoting, her stuff, the Disc Golf Tourist, you name it, Nice Line. She was doing a lot of social media stuff, but what you're seeing now is it's that hype of the new company and everything. So I'm stoked to see her doing it because I know it's going to be important for her brand in the future. So it's good for us because we're also going to be able to learn from the situation and boost our social media presence as a company, and it's going to be really good for us.
Well, and that leads me to another question, which was, Tina, it seems as if between injuries and maybe it's drive, maybe it's not, or a combination of things, are you finding yourself slipping into that media photographer, videographer role more so than worrying about being a top-level competitor?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting couple of years. Originally with my shoulder injury, I just didn't play nearly as much, and that I couldn't do nothing. So I ended up, stepping into more of a media role. And I really enjoyed that for the most part. I love making like travel related videos, and I like doing disc golf in specific ways, I guess. I'm working on a Paige Bjerkes like interviews and like really get to know Paige Bjerkes, which is really fun, or Paige Shoe now.
See, you
And
even
so I
do
really
it.
like that kind of
hard.
stuff, and I've been doing some Instagram for Dynamic Disc for the last year and a half or so.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of to take up the rest of the time that I used to be spending playing disc golf. And then I had another like freak thing happen this summer, and I've basically not touched a disc since then.
Mm-hmm. Was GBO this year?
It wasn't at GBO.
Or was GBO
It was
this year?
Music City, so that was like August.
September,
Or
yeah.
September.
Was GBO this year though? Was that last year?
I don't know what you're asking.
And you slapped my butt.
Yeah, yes, it did happen this year. GVO did happen this year and
Yeah, I
last
was like,
year.
what are you talking about? That was last year.
Oh, it was last year. Okay. Tina's body is.
I basically have a
Weird.
broken vertebrae that's messed up everything else. So everything's out of place all the time. That's just how it is. And I love disc golf, but it's just like my body does not. And so, yeah, I've kind of had to move forward, and I still want to play like badly. And I'm finally kind of getting more on the recovery side. But that's only been the last 2.5 weeks. So it's not like it's been a long-term thing. I've thrown some putters, and that's about it.
And for you, you get to pick and choose the events she wants to play. So she doesn't have to look at it like me, where I might not want to go to, I'll use a really good example. I might not want to go to Delaware again. I haven't played well there, and I haven't enjoyed the course, but I love how the tournament's run and everything. It's a really good tournament itself, but I haven't played well there. But I'm probably going back because it's a national tour, because of NT points are very valuable at the end of the season if you do well. And it's, you know, I have to kind of muscle it up and go back. But Tina gets the luxury of,
If I love the tournament, I can play it.
Yeah, it's
If I
kind
don't, I don't play it.
it's nice.
Yeah, certainly being able to, like you said, pick and choose the ones that, whether it's the venue or it's the people or the payout or whatever, you know, trying to choose which you want to go to, I think is really nice. And then I think maybe the underlying message for everyone, and or dare we call it a pro tip, Tina, I think you perfectly exemplify the idea that if playing, not playing due to injury or for whatever reason isn't your thing, or it isn't able to happen, find that other thing that you can incorporate into disc golf. And of course, you know, that dates all the way back to the whale sacks, but then you've also evolved into using other creative measures for photography and for video. And so you're a quadruple threat kind of gal, I think is what they'd say. But it truly, like, I think that's what so many people don't realize is you have a plan B for starters, and then realize that plan B might turn into, you know, B, you know, _1, B _2, and then there might be a plan C. Whatever the case is, if you have a passion for anything, you're going to find a way to be involved and keep going with it. And I think that's awesome.
And that was basically it. I knew that I didn't want to work a normal job, and I knew that I wanted to travel. And once I figured out I could do that as a disc golfer, even on an amateur level, with like whale sacks kind of getting me through stuff, I mean, then I just came up with like a ton of ideas. And then I just found all these other interests, and I, you know, if you dive into something enough or YouTube it enough, you can get good at anything, you know? So, it doesn't matter. Like, there's so many different things you can do to make it work. And it's been an adventure, and it's been stressful, and I work way too much, but I really do enjoy it. And it's nice to not, you know, have to really answer to anybody and kind of have my own schedule, even if it's way more hours than I would be working at a normal job.
Well, I'm not going to blow any minds here, but we are not far away from someone being essentially a part-time mechanic, especially RV mechanic, that could be also doing that on the road. I mean, just think about all the people in the last few years that have had some either minor or major RV problems. Now, I know they can't all get fixed by one guy one day, but all of these RV problems and or van problems like just think 5 years from now, we're going to have that player on the tour that's maybe an am or a pro that's going to be like, yep, go to Jimmy. Jimmy's our, he's our resident guy that's on tour, and his entire side gig, maybe that's what even pays for it, is him fixing everyone else's touring vehicles.
Totally.
I just gave away a great idea there. Find mechanic, disc golf mechanic, get on it. .com.
Totally. I think we broke down 4 or 5 times this year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now it'd be weird. He's gonna is that man or woman wishing for somebody to miss a putt, or they're like, oh, I hope their
RV breaks down.
I hope their water pump goes out tonight. No, but seriously, it's just funny that as disc golf obviously continues to grow, and then there's all these little offshoots that are just going to continue to be opportunities for people out there.
Yeah. And opportunity is the right word. Like, there are so many opportunities that haven't even been thought about yet. Mm-hmm. And I always I go back to disc golf pins. Like, she's just like me. Her and I get along super well. We kind of come from the same, we had normal jobs, and then we kind of started doing this thing, and then it kind of grew into this full-time job, and she's huge, and she's on, Jomez and selling pins for every club and, just every pro and everything. And so there's so many different opportunities, and it's all it takes is a tiny idea and a lot of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the tough part, is remembering
hard work.
There's some hard work in there. The ideas may come and go, but remembering there is some hard work to get things going.
Yeah.
So this weekend, I know we kind of talked a little bit about it a few weeks ago with Eagle when he joined us, but this weekend, Eagle is in town visiting, hanging out. You guys are all traveling together elsewhere. What exactly is going on?
Birmingham, Alabama. We're driving 4 hours north to head up there. Good club. Eagle's got some homies that work on I think their club is called Park City, but that's not the club we're working with in Birmingham. But they all helped set it up. Park City did a bunch to promote it. It's just
we called it Flying Whale Pants Doubles.
Yeah. Flying Bird Pants? No, Flying Duck Pants?
Flying
Eagle.
Pants.
Okay, whatever. Doesn't
Eagles
matter.
without pants.
Bring your own partner doubles, clinic included. If you want to just come out for the clinic, we've offered that up as well. And we have some people traveling in from Nashville, which isn't too far. And I would imagine we're going to have some more people traveling in from outside places. And it was great because we were able to choose a weekend date that wasn't conflicting with any surrounding tournaments and whatnot, because the South loves to keep playing through the winter. But it worked out really well, and never played the course, but really excited to kind of do something disc golf related outside of throwing in the field. So it'll be really, really fun to kind of teach and do that kind of stuff. So
I think my last time in Birmingham was with this guy. It was probably 1999, and George Ward Park. Does that ring a bell?
I think
that's where we're
going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we played.
That was a good pull. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have to look that one up, but
Nice.
Good
yeah.
job,
Nice, Terry.
we when Johnny and I
Was that one? Then you're the one, the base.
no. Nope. We were those wild and crazy, spring breakers that instead of going to Mexico or Florida to get hammered and party every
or
night,
Pensacola.
we would instead, we tried to find some nightlife, but we were more concerned about how many courses could we possibly get in a given week. And,
Nice.
I remember those days.
yeah, and like 13 or 15 or 18, whatever we did in a week was groundbreaking. I mean, that was hardcore for us. And now you can go out and play, 18 courses within 45 minutes of where we live, and you can do it all within a day or two. But
Well, you live in a special place, though.
That was
It's
Fort
not
Worth
like
was
that
the
all
same.
over the States.
and we had, again, special fond memories of Mobile, specifically not far from where you guys are, because you went down there, the Sherrods were there, Joe, Kathy, all of the Sherrod family, and there were 6 or 7 courses right there, and we played in the City of Mobile Championships at Municipal Park, and we played Chickasaw and Chickasaw Bogue.
Chickasaw, yeah.
Oh, man, that place. I played the Howler there a couple years back. It was eye-opening.
Yeah, exactly. So they're a very special place in our heart for going down there and visiting for a few years and hanging out down there in Mobile and it's Jim Oram, Maddie's dad of Sky South. So lots of good stuff and seeing people like Worm and Cam Todd and Leslie, all products of down there. So awesome. Very cool. Great memories. So you guys have that. It sounds like it was just off by a single weekend in that me and, of course, plenty of golfers will be heading down to South Florida, which I know is a little bit of a hike for you, good 10, 11 hours.
I would go.
But we're going to miss you. You guys are going north, and Heimberg and Dickerson and a few others, we're going to all be in South Florida, so we'll miss you this weekend.
Yeah, I love Kobe, and I've got a friend, Andy, that lives down there, and I love it down there. So I'd love to go. And I really wanted to play this year, because last year I don't think I wanted to play at all.
No.
And now I'm just itching.
Yep.
And I was like, Eric said something, I was like, well, when's South Florida? And he's like, it's the weekend of our tournament. I'm like, what? I got so mad.
Yeah. And I was like, if you really wanted to play, you should have
probably should have known, but
when the tournament was and been signed up, so we couldn't have planned it. But
I haven't played since Nantucket.
I know.
So.
And when Eagle and I set the date, we didn't even look at South Florida because it wasn't on either of our minds. Sure. I knew Tina wanted to play it, but I was like, it should be fine. It's not a big deal. We'll figure it out. And then it ended up being on the same weekend. I was like, it's not.
It will be fun to go back there. I think we're going to see, again, 4 rounds over the 3 days.
Nice.
Pat is going to be running the show, and then Yuha, from Toonie.
I want to see Yuha.
He's already in town. He's been taking it in. I think he's on an alligator hunt. Every post he makes, he keeps saying, "I haven't found any alligators." When we don't see him post for a few days, or he's missing a finger or two, we're gonna know that he found the alligators finally.
It's not going to be Florida man. It's going to be Finland man. It's gets attacked by an alligator.
It was really weird. He was out there, calling for him, and all of a sudden,
he found him.
So, getting to some of the specifics, next year Tour Series disc. Any insights you can give us that people, all your fans and supporters, can prep for from either of you guys?
Lucid X Felons again for me. I was, I think people were asking for Lucid X Raiders and stuff like that, but I don't think changing away from a disc that's been successful and is offering not only the fan base but our team players a disc that we absolutely need in our lineup. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, and to go on to that, we've become so. As much as we are DD sponsored, we are as much fan sponsored. So thanks to everybody who's bought this from us, bought our tour series and everything. It's been incredibly awesome, and it's made being on tour very easy. So thank you guys. But I know that there's going to be a lot of different plastics in the Lucid X Felon. I say a lot of different plastics. It's going to be Lucid X, but a lot of different options. So they're gonna do some really cool stuff with it. Latitude's been killing the game. I don't know if you've seen the different stuff. So I think the fans will be happy from what I've been able to gather so far.
I'm guessing he's talking maybe about like the chameleon stuff. Maybe some other things that I've seen on the Answer Man podcast.
Yes. And they've been holding out on the chameleon stuff. They've done pretty much only Latitude molds and a couple West Side things
and a couple DD, but not a whole lot of just letting it go rampant. The other part is I know that they're constantly working on changing, like doing more with the chameleon and also finding new things that haven't been done. So they're like that's why it could be halfway through the year and they've figured out this really cool thing that nobody's ever seen before, and they're gonna be like, well, let's do that for the fall, and there we go. That's the cool part about what Latitude has and what they're working on over there is that they're always trying to be innovative. They're always trying to push the boundaries of what the plastic can do and visually looks.
Well, I'm not gonna dismiss any of your creativity, Eric, but I will direct this more so at your wife and say, Tina, knowing that you are just that. You're very creative visually. Do you feel like we are anywhere near the boundaries or the limits of what we've seen with discs? And I real quick, I think of metal flake type stuff and sparkles, and I think of the chameleon that we've seen, burst, you know, all of those types of swirls, you know, all these various trends that have come along. Do you feel like there's still a lot of room artistically?
I don't know if there is a whole lot. I think we have plenty of limitations on what we're allowed to do. You know, with PDGA standards and all that stuff. There's plenty of things that come to mind, but then you're mixing, you know, products that we can't have in our plastic. And I think maybe more with the stamp stuff, like if you've seen some of the MVP like triple stamp things they've done, I think there's a lot to be done. And like DD has their Dimex, and like that still to me is like crazy cool technology that, and Discraft has like their foil, like, so we've already done a lot that is pretty freaking cool.
I feel like we're pushing the boundary of, you know, being able to make a design that's like, we'll use the DD logo to be able to have the most of the disc be one color and the DD logo be a different color, or it's all one color, but then there's the DD logo inserted, and that's like glow in the dark. And if you put a black light over it, I feel like there's like the options probably, right? Like there could be some really, really cool things like down the line as the injection process gets better, the machines start to get more, you know, as more money comes into disc golf, and, you know, we can get probably even more than top of the line machines. The stuff they have over there is insanely good, and it's it is top of the line, but as technology and money comes along, I think that, you know, there could be some really sweet stuff.
Tina, I know you guys kind of referenced it. I'm going to switch gears slightly, but you referenced earlier just not having enough room in the RV and doing all the work that you do. Are there going to be dedicated whale sack assembly rooms and just entire areas that have already been, you know, partitioned off for that?
So it's funny you say that because Eric calls it a she shed.
Okay, yeah.
I guess it's from a commercial. But I do want a shed like separate from the house so I can kind of go to work so I don't work all the time. That was the goal, because I work way too much as it is now. So I'll sit down and I'll like spend 12 hours accidentally, you know, running the website and making whale sacks. So I'd like to be able to like set a timer, have a normal kind of job, go out to the she shed, which is my sewing machine, my computer, whatever it needs to be, and then be able to like, no offense, but get away from Eric and his very loud voice.
Well,
I didn't notice.
That's also goes into the fact that if you're going to be doing like the Airbnb, you might want that separate from the house.
Yes.
So that whoever you have coming to visit, you don't have to say, well, you have free reign of the house, except for this room. Why don't you just stay out of there?
Unless you know how to
That was
sew.
a big part too.
It'd be a great storage area for us to have.
Yeah, like we're gonna leave some stuff here. We do not have enough room in the RV for
Everything.
like even some of the business stuff. Like I bought this big like fabric cutter, and it doesn't have a home in the RV. It doesn't make any sense to have it in there. So having it here would be good. But yeah, like we'd have to block off a whole room or block off a closet, and then the value goes down, and it's just like it would make more sense to have a separate space to store that stuff. But also I would really like my own personal workspace that's just uninterrupted, and especially for editing. Like just today I was trying to like rewatch this video, and Eric's watching
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Which,
like, Eric, I cannot focus or concentrate at all.
I'm only 3 episodes in, and I've wanted to watch it for years now, but for sake of Tina, the main character is as dumb as I am, and he reminds me of like a mixture of me and Zach Melton put together. So just no, nothing's ever serious. We're always joking around. We're always having a really good time. So to me, and I'll also put a little bit of AJ in there. It's a perfect storm type of thing. So where Tina's worried that I'll just become dumber, and I respect it. So, but now that we have Hulu, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna spoil myself.
Yeah, we have like a normal TV now. It's really weird.
Mhm.
How is the kitty cat
She loves
transitioning?
it here.
Does she?
She's crazy.
She can't get enough. She
Will
plays hide and seek constantly.
All
like
day.
if you get up and start walking into another room, she's like, "Oh, we're playing. Oh, we're gonna do this. Let's go."
do you think Spout will have any issues like getting back in the trailer or the RV, I should say, and hitting the road again?
I hope not, because
Yeah.
I think like that's home, and we've only been in here for a couple weeks, and right after, well, I guess it was right after we moved in,
Mm-hmm.
we went to Wisconsin for my sister's wedding, and so we put her back in the RV and brought her to Madison's mom's house so like they could take care of her while we were gone. So she was in her normal home.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I think she'll be fine,
She's
but
known
she
it all
really
her
does
life.
like it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more room to roam and spread out, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And lots of places to hide, and she'll just like take off down the hallway and like jump in the tub and hide in the tub, and she's so funny.
She's a riot.
what should we expect to see from you guys for the opener of 2020? When will we see you in an RV or in a car or wherever? What do you expect that to be and where?
Vegas, I think, is going to be the starting event for me next year, and I think I'm going to kind of drive to Dallas Fort Worth and then fly from there out to Vegas, rent a car, do Vegas, do Memorial, and then fly back, because that driving all the way out there to come all the way back doesn't fully make sense. And Dallas Fort Worth being a major hub, I feel like I can either get a flight out of Love Field or DFW, and it's going to be pretty cheap no matter what I'm looking at. And yeah, I think it'll just work out. And that drive from Phoenix to back to the Dallas Fort Worth area, getting ready for Waco and stuff like that, is just awful. Like there is no easy way to put
pretty
it.
bad.
It's awful. Like half the drive you're in Texas, and and it just sucks. So yeah, avoiding that I think will be great, and my body will be very happy.
Awesome. So Vegas. Any thoughts on Vegas? Without it being a national tour, it's an A tier this year. Of course, plenty of prestige still there, but it feels like there's some people that are kind of taking a pass on it too. What's your decision to be there?
I don't necessarily agree with everything that Jeff Chaqua does, and I think that's it's becoming decently standard. But he does run a good event for not only the pros, but he runs a great event for a lot of amateurs and stuff like that. So it's a testament to, you might not agree with him, but it's hard to say that his event sucks, because it actually is pretty good. I know a lot of people don't agree with the courses, and there's one course out there that I don't think we should be playing, but whatever. That's not what we're talking about. I'm going to play it because I played well there last year. I would imagine it'll be a USDGC qualifier, so putting as many of those on my schedule makes the most sense, because that's always a tournament I want to be playing. And I think if I continue to play that I've had, it's not going to be an issue, but I still want to give myself every single opportunity, because being at Winthrop at the end of the year is always always a special feeling. So that's part of it. And I think I've talked with Calvin Heimberg potentially about maybe doing that portion with him. So, getting to hang out with a really good friend that week would always be fun. The last time actually we spent a lot of time hanging out with each other was right before Worlds. So I feel like getting some one-on-one time with Vinny, even though he doesn't talk much and I talk a lot, is
It's true.
it had a good effect on me. So I'll keep that going.
Speaking of Kelvin, if you guys could just breathe, if you know what's going on with Kelvin next year.
We don't actually.
We don't. I talk to him all the time, but I'll ask him how things are going, and he'll give me vague responses. But I don't want to pressure him into divulging anything, because you can tell a lot of it's weighing on his mind, because he wants to make the right decision. He wants to.
And he had a killer year. So
yeah, so
he definitely deserves something great.
Yeah, I think he's kind of, I know that lots of conversations with, with Innova and different things like that are coming up, and that's good for him. It's he's gonna make a decision on his future here, and I think the good part about this is I think no matter what, we get more Calvin Heimberg for the foreseeable future.
Hopefully.
And because he's one of the smartest human beings I've ever met.
Did you guys know he's like an engineer?
He's a chemical engineer, if I'm correct.
Yes.
He's a genius.
He's he's super big brain. So
he's smart.
So he could probably go and do that and make more money. Maybe
Real money?
maybe I don't know. He killed it. I felt like he made all the monies this past year, but realistically, he can make a lot more money. But I do think he has a really really good way to impact the sport of disc golf, and so having Calvin Heimberg in disc golf will be huge.
Well, and only because I did talk about it a little earlier, and the page is still up. I will tell you that, of course, this is not including any of the bonuses. This is just PDGA cash earned. I see Calvin Heimberg coming in at $34,948. We'll just round it up, call it $35,000, which puts him 5th on the money list for this year.
Oh,
in terms of players. And he did play a little bit more than many others than the 4 people ahead of him. He played 30 events. Of course, he got that national tour bonus for winning the national tour and then bookending that the first and the final event. But
sandwich.
Yeah, not a bad year for Mr. Heimberg. Here at, like I said, 35,000 plus.
Yeah,
some sponsorship,
not including bonuses or sponsorship
or disc sales, you name it. He did quite well. But the dude wants it. If you guys have watched him play plenty. You guys have covered him a lot of times. He's the real deal. He's got both sides of the game. He's mentally sound, and he won't show it, but he does get nervous. I remember hearing his thoughts at Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
and he was nervous, and I was like, "Oh, you're not a robot. You're
I
actually."
didn't know you were nervous.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I would never have known. So, man, hopefully that just keep being around him, and some of that will rub off on me.
Yeah, he's a very funny and talented human for sure, and of course he continues to be a major subject of conversation, as we'll find out if there's any of the rumors are true where he may or may not end up next year. But he's in that perfect position. He's in having this best year of that show me the money kind of mentality. Maybe I don't know if I could see him screaming that like Cuba Gooding Jr. did, but it would be entertaining to have him reenact that scene.
Has he ever screamed? Yeah, Nantucket.
Oh, yes, he did at Nantucket.
All right,
yeah, that's true. So we're going to start to wrap it up, but I do want to thank you, Tina. I know you and Madison were working on the bonus Nantucket footage. Like you just mentioned, that may have been one of the last times you were competitively playing, but hopefully everything worked out. You guys calling the shots on that footage. People should see that in the next day or two. Did you enjoy it? I mean, I know you were, with Madison and all, but did you still enjoy it?
Yeah, we might have had too much fun making fun of me.
Ooh, okay.
Because I played really bad.
It was a fun. I was in the room. I was listening. It was
all in good
It felt
spirits.
really, really good. So as a video goes,
Madison would be
the
like,
fans are gonna be happy.
"Oh, that was a great shot, Tina," and I'm like, "Just wait."
I can follow that up. Well, thank you guys for doing that. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow, the Raz round, the very highly anticipated Raz round, is coming out. It's all ready and edited, and I just have to release it. And then right after that, I'll have the FPO coverage to kind of wrap up that entire. What a chaotic weekend, right? I mean, you guys didn't get married there this year, but you're talking Hurricane. You're talking skins match, the 2 rounds of golf, a Raz round,
And
Crazy.
most of it in the rain.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
It was incredible. All right, guys. So where can people find you guys, support you guys, find you? Give us your social media handles, but then also how else can they go out and support you guys?
We have a Patreon too, Whale Pants. And so any of our vlogs and stuff go there, and anything that I make for DD also goes there. And Whale Pants on Facebook for events that we run, and
At the Eric
Dis and
Oakley
stuff
on
like that.
Instagram, TK Oakley 7 on Instagram. Did you say the Whale Pants website? whalepantsdg.com, whalesacks.com, you name it.
There's a lot of places to get a hold of us.
Yeah,
Yes.
and honestly, just if any of the Smashies are out there, just reach out to us. We're always looking to support things that are happening, and if you want to support us, we have a lot of discs available in our inventory that we could work out some deals and get you something cool for the holidays type of thing.
Awesome.
But make sure you support these guys first. Thank you, Johnny and Terry, for having us on. It's always a pleasure to be able to interact with you guys and just talk life, talk disc golf. You guys are awesome.
Thanks for calling our secretary too, and not us. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
not a problem. I was gonna say there's always an open invite over at their house as long as your name isn't Madison. Just no, we'll have to now have her on if she's gonna be a secretary. We'll get her on the show as well. But thank you guys so much for joining us. I am sad I'll be in Florida, but not running into you this weekend. But I know it'll be just a matter of weeks after that. I'll see one or both of you on the road, and as always, I look forward to it. I always enjoy our time together, and looking forward to a great 2020.
Yeah. Thanks, Terry.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
Have a great
Thanks,
night.
guys.
Take care. See ya.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
See ya. And as we said, Eric and Tina Oakley joining us. I'm finally, just like Paige Shue, I think I might be finally over that hump. It's been over a year now to make sure I always refer to Tina as Tina Oakley instead of Tina Stenitis.
That one, I didn't think. I think I even said it after she got married. I thought that would be a lot tougher for me because there's something about the name Tina Stenitis that I really liked. The name, it once you learn how to say, like, you look at it, it's tough to see, but once you learn it's a fun name to say. Tina Oakley, not as much fun to say out loud, but you know what? That's not, unfortunately, that's not what she decided to go with, the fun factor. She went with, tradition and went with Oakley. So that one didn't take me nearly as long as I think the Paige Bjerkes one is. Because just like Stenitis, Bjerkes is a fun name to say.
Especially once you finally get it nailed down. Because you look at it and you're like, what the heck is that? And then you're like, oh, yeah, I'm confident. I can pronounce this. Yep. And now
it's almost like showing off to people like, no, you're saying it wrong.
Yeah.
It's Bjerkes. And
now
it's Paige Shue. And the problem with Paige Shue is that it rolls together the end of the page and the beginning of the shoe. So it's almost as if it's just one word. It's like Paige Shue.
Yeah, I think we covered that. It's going to be we'll get there. And speaking of her, Paige Shue, I believe she was in fact on Disc Golf Answer Man today. I didn't get a chance to tune in. Did you?
I did not.
Partake?
No, I've been very busy at work, and so normally I use my work time to catch up on disc golf stuff, as one should with their 9-to-5 job.
Yep. As we know you are right now, wherever you are.
Wherever you are right now listening to this, you're probably at work, just like I do. When I'm at my 9-to-5 job. But today, this whole week has been just kind of hectic and crazy for me. A lot of Florida stuff for me as well with my job. And I did not get a chance to catch the Paige Shue interview Answer Man thing. So I'm going to have to catch that one after the fact on the podcast.
Right. Please go check it out. Thanks to our friends over there at Dynamic Discs. We see the board has been quite active tonight. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us, as always, on the YouTube chat. We know some of you are probably also chiming in on the Facebook chat as well. I'm sure it's all civil and everybody's keeping it cool over there. But thank you guys. We really do appreciate it. Quickly, I will side note, if we're thinking of, warm destinations, and this isn't quite after show, I'm just going to throw it out there because I don't know if we've ever talked about it in the past, and that is, I can't call him my good friend, and I don't want to call him a crazy tinfoil whack job. This gentleman named Bobby Garner, that's his name. Some of you may know him.
Wow, calling people out by names here.
Well, it's pretty easy to do. Most of you know him because you've either blocked or ignored him already. He's a gentleman, and there's going to be a bigger story to this someday, but there's a gentleman in Hawaii. I don't recall which island he is on. And some of you have seen maybe even me or others get into a online conversation with him on Facebook that he loves to bring up the fact that there is a disc golf course, a specific one on one of the islands in Hawaii. And from everything I've gathered over the last few years, this is, I've heard public and I've heard private, but either way, it is not a publicly welcomed disc golf course. And I've been told there are some dangerous parts on the course, some dangerous places on the course, I should say. And you need either a special invitation and or, sorry, I'm hearing myself in my own ear. No, I sound just like Bobby at this point. Anyway, sorry. This is Bobby Garner. So either you need a special invitation and you need a guide, so to speak, to be there. I don't want to quite liken it to like an Area 51, but in the sense that it may or may not be public or private, but either way, you're not allowed to just go there. That is ultimately the situation. You can't just go there alone. And this gentleman for 10, 15, 20 years seems to keep arguing this, and he brings it up almost on the daily. He's like, he continues to beat this drum of, I've been silenced by the PDGA and blah, blah. So many different things. Course directory people, the PDGA, so on and so forth. And really his methodology for all of his argument is just copying and pasting. The problem with it is all of his copy and paste are just other nonsense ramblings that really don't arrive at anything. But he continues to do this. And I have talked to some people that know of the situation that have said, just steer clear of him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And it almost has that like Fight Club mentality of like, you know, the first thing you do is you don't talk about it. It exists, but you don't talk about it. That's kind of about this course to some degree. He just won't let it die that he's not allowed to just go there, and we're not allowed to tell the whole world about it and then go visit and play whenever you want. People are welcome, but there's just a few steps you have to take. And so if you see that argument or fight, because a lot of people will write and say, John Perry of Team Discraft just wrote today, he goes, I see your ramblings all the time. I've looked into it. I still have no idea what you're really getting at. And that's what I'm really going on with this right now. I'm letting people know what the situation is. So if you've seen anyone having this discussion or any form of back and forth with him, that is the premise to this. It's a piece of property that has a course that you're not allowed to just go play whenever you want. You need special permissions and or special people, and therefore they don't want it publicly advertised as being able to go out there and play it. Why in the world this nut job cannot just accept that fact is what's so maddening. That's really the best word for everybody. It's so maddening that he can simply just not accept this fact. So for those of you that are wondering, that's what that's all about. Someone even on the board is saying, rabbit hole Bobby is winning. Yeah, the fact that I'm here worked up about it maybe tells you if he thinks he's winning or not, maybe. But it is, you will see it. Eric McCabe, I know, has chimed in years ago. He had a funny go around with it. It's quite frustrating. So if you ever need to learn more, feel free to reach out to me. I can point you and direct you in the right people and where to go with it. This guy, however, steer clear.
I'm just going to avoid all of that.
Well, it's just too bad because when you think of like going to maybe this exotic place or this really cool environment and atmosphere, and think about this unique experience, he's just ruining everything that surrounds it.
It sounds like he has a lot of passion, but it's very
misdirected
and confusing to maybe even himself. I don't know.
Yeah, that might be one word. So that is the scoop, just so everyone knows out there. And I know there's some people even on the board that know exactly what I'm talking about. But if this does ever cross your Facebook feed or you're wondering what is this crazy talk, it doesn't help his case that he then will like mix in some politics, and that's fine. You want to be really political, I'm good with that. But then he'll he'll try and tie them together, disc golf and politics in the same like rambling, and it's ugly.
It sounds like the worst of Facebook. Thanks.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Not as quite mean-spirited as it is ignorant and maddening.
Okay.
So it's not quite YouTube comment like, let me tell you that.
You know, a lot of people will rag on some of our live chat for during the live broadcasts, preferably, and clearly not during the podcast. But I tend to defend a lot of our live chat during the broadcast and say I don't think it is as toxic as what some people think that it was maybe in the very, very beginning, because we have so many great moderators these days that really do keep a lot of the really toxic stuff out. And sure, it's a chat room. It's going to wander off course at times, but it usually doesn't get into the point of toxicity, is my thought. And I think we have a really good community behind Smashbox itself, but also the live chat that it can really help be directed. Couple things from the PDGA this week. I'm looking right now. There's not a lot of news per se, but there were a lot of discs approved.
And in no way are we sponsored by or affiliated with any of
With
the
any of
upcoming
these.
disc releases. However, if you'd like to send us a dozen of each, you're welcome to.
No, please don't. I mean, you can. Thank
No,
you.
I mean, I'll just keep them.
I'll keep
We're
them.
selling
But as I tell everybody, you know,
No, we're not reviewing them. I'm just saying if you want to send them to us.
if you want to send them to us, that's great. But I do recommend sending them to some of our friends out on the board that do disc reviews. We've got Disc Golf Nerd and Ace Run, who both do really great reviews. Please make sure that you're following up. Oh, and shout out Disc Golf Nerd. Thank you very much for the Christmas card.
I didn't even read it yet.
No, it's in my car. So, but thank you.
Sure.
I opened it today, and it was wonderful. So thank you very, very much. The discs approved this week. The Vigil by Crosslap Disc Golf Parks. I've never heard of that company. So, brand new. So thank you very much. The Qatari, otherwise known as the DGD3 from RPM. The Sensei from Discmania, or Discmania Active. The Bounty from DD, and the Sergeant from DD. So there was quite a few discs. It's the off season. It is the time for disc releases.
I'll go with that.
So pretty cool.
Okay. I don't know if we have anything else for the regular show here, Johnny. I know
We
that was
don't.
somewhat abrupt, but I don't know if I have anything else on my list of random items I wrote down earlier in the day. Nope.
Tonight we're going to give away one of the disc member boxes.
What?
Correct. I think it is the Discmania one that we were talking about.
Discmania or Prodigy?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Prodigy
You're right.
version from last
It was
week?
the Prodigy one we were talking with Will about last week. So, yeah, I believe I have two of them. That somehow they shipped me 2 boxes. I don't know why. Merry Christmas. But it is... so we're going to give away one of them tonight.
Although we have no idea what's really in the contents
Not
of
a
that
clue.
box.
So it could
Johnny's
be
speculating.
It could be the Prodigy one, because that's the one that came out this month, is what I was understanding. But because I got 2 of them, I don't know. Maybe there's not a Prodigy thing in there. Maybe one is Prodigy, one's the other. But whatever's in there, I guarantee you're going to be happy.
Oh, yeah. Nothing's better than free
And if you want to be eligible for that, SmashBoxxTV, our Patreon. So you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV and give us a support.
We're running out of time here, people. I will make one closing statement before we close out the regular show and then babble for other hours. If you have a unique opportunity that you think it would be somehow fun or exciting for me and Johnny to come join you somewhere, I keep thinking that would be a lot of fun. Let's go somewhere, have a Smashbox TV live broadcast, maybe from your pro shop, maybe from your putting league. I'm pulling a Madison here. I'm trying to invite myself somewhere so that we can hang out with you and be friends. But in all seriousness, if there is somewhere or someone that would like to work with us, come up with some kind of sponsorship opportunity or something that would allow us to come hang out, it sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, preferably somewhere outside of the Midwest, I think would be ideal. I don't exactly want to go up to Duluth, Minnesota, for instance, but if you guys put forth the best offer, That's something that we could possibly do. Disc Baron says, yeah, Disc Baron, you just missed my disclaimer. You're over in Michigan, and I love you. We love you, and you're a huge supporter. But I don't know if Michigan's any more
appealing,
pleasant climate-wise than what we have here in Wisconsin at the moment. But one way or another, we'll make it work. We'll have to do something together at some point for sure, though. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and call it for the regular show tonight. We want to thank Eric and Tina Oakley for joining us, Madison Walker for setting up the interview and crashing the party, and providing the commentary that her and Tina just recently did for the Nantucket FPO bonus footage. Thanks to Matt Graham and Kids Disc Golf. I appreciate it, guys. Huge shout out to AJ Risley for also working with me on the weekend, along with Todd and Louisa. So there's my Nantucket plug. Thank you guys for all being part of that. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been SmashBoxx TV Podcast 277. We'll see you in just a few moments when things get crazy in the after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxx TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxx TV's Podcast 277 After Show. Here we are, getting at it. Thank
Rowdy.
you guys,
with
for
another
joining us.
drink.
Oh, my gosh, Johnny.
I'm hitting it hard. I'm hitting the apple cider, the Angry Orchard hard cider. Hitting it hard
Slow
tonight.
your roll,
It's my
sister.
second one tonight.
Wow. I'm going to go off on a quick tangent to that.
Hmm?
This is global, and this might frustrate or annoy or get some people all worked up, and I quite frankly don't care. I am blown away by the amount of people that are so bent out of shape and worked up and absorbed in the idea that I need to care if you do or don't like my beverage choice.
What?
Usually it's alcoholic.
What?
As in beer snobs. We're talking beer snobs. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit what you like or what you don't like that I drink.
Sure.
And I feel like as I get older, I would think this is going away as you deal with more mature people. I feel like it's the opposite.
Well, that's also a shift in general culture of beer. When we were younger, and I'm talking like almost before we could drink, you really didn't have a lot of options. At least I didn't see a lot of options as a kid. It was usually Miller High Life,
Bud Light, Budweiser,
Bud Light.
sure,
Like those were basically
those were more commonplace. Okay,
Pabst.
it was
Coors. You had your what a lot of people right now call swill beer. It's your real basic, your standard drink. And as Terry can attest to, that never sat well with me. I've always been a cider person. As long as from the minute I found it from Woodchuck Cider, that's what I've always drank. That's the closest I will get to a beer. But now we have all of these craft beers and artisanal stuff and all this, and it is becoming, it's people take it a little too seriously. I understand, but
if you like any or all of it, I'm good with that. I'm not judging you because you want to tell me about your triple IPA, Bevel beer, craft, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm good with that. No matter what I like to drink, why do you people care? That is my point. Like, and again, I feel like it's getting worse. A good friend of ours was exactly shaming me just this weekend. We participated in an annual meeting in Madison.
Oh.
And after that, we had a very quick break to get something to eat and or drink outside of Madison, Wisconsin. Ale Asylum, lots of good breweries, all that good stuff. Great. So we sit down, and I have found out through really actually a little bit of coaching of Nate and Val Doss that if I like anything craft beer, I'm a Scotch ale guy. That's what I've come to learn. I've said that on the podcast. Of all the craft beer opportunities and options out there, I happen to like a Scotch ale. With the disclaimer, if I never had another alcoholic drink between now and the day I died, I'd also be okay with that. But
sure,
it appears I like Scotch ale, which is fine. It does taste really good to me, most of the ones that I've had. So we get to this brewery this weekend, and I sit down, and I'm, of course, that's the only thing now I comb for and actually look, because there's, 40 beer options, but Scotch ales are apparently still not that common.
And of the 40 options,
all your standards.
I was going to say 35 of them nowadays, I couldn't tell you what they are because
they're all IPAs.
They're all crazy named. Dark Cellar found a skunk in the chocolate IPA, and you're like,
I need a crazy name with a crazy idea and even wilder logo because we're so much more edgy than the other triple IPA.
And so I look at that and I go, oh, and not that I would drink it anyway, but I'm like, wouldn't even begin to know, other than the fact that it says IPA probably. I'm like, okay, I guess that's an IPA.
Is it hazy?
I don't know. And that's just it. It is
again
so crazy. And I get it. A lot of people like this stuff, and that's great. And a lot of people like because it's local. Usually, you're coming in from out of town, maybe, and you're like, oh, let me try some. Look, when people come into Milwaukee, or Wisconsin, a lot of times it's Spotted Cow. Everyone wants to try Spotted Cow, or Leinenkugels, which you can get most places these days. But you want to try the more local flavor.
I'm good with all of that. Like I am. Let me be very clear. I am happy with whatever you decide you drink because you like it. And if you tell me you like Milwaukee's Best, what do I care? That's the point. Everybody wants to scream at you and tell you how it's garbage. But guess what? They're the one drinking it. Why do you care so much? And I wouldn't bring this up if it weren't for the idea that I think this, I don't think this is a term, this beer bullying, this beer shaming, is becoming more and more popular because there's a billion craft beer options. And so everything that you drink that's not up to that standard gets then ripped on. So I was continuing to look. I couldn't find one. I saw 2 or 3 things that look like I may or may not enjoy. I was given a little bit of a taster, and I didn't really care for them. And honestly, a lot of them taste the same to me, most of which I don't care for. And then my buddy next to me just wanted to keep screaming out because he was so funny, and I love this guy. Give him a Busch Light. That's all he drinks. Busch. Mind you, I don't drink Busch Light. Not that I care if you do. Give him a Busch. He's ripping on the fact that
You're a Bud Light guy.
I generally like a lighter beer if I'm not going to have one of these Scotch ales. So I had to get that off my chest.
Don't be a beer bully, people.
Just don't be a beer bully. What do you care if I tell you I like to eat feet dipped in sriracha sauce? Like, why do you care?
That's weird.
It is.
I think
didn't
that
have
would
anything
be
else.
Yeah,
Chicken toes
there you
dipped
go.
in sriracha sauce. Why do you care? These people just want to yell at you because you're inferior, because you don't have their taste. It honestly, it blows my mind, and I don't know why people are so caught up. Oh, that's trash. That's garbage.
I mean, someone brings it up on the board. Is it much different than
Yes.
disc
No.
than disc fans going off on
No.
other companies?
I
Like,
also think
oh,
that's
I can't
stupid.
believe that company. Their plastic feels like PVC pipe. Oh no, I love it. It's great in my hand. Well, your plastic feels like gummy goo chewed up on a sidewalk, and you're just like, who cares? Like, yeah, do they throw it? Does it go forward? Are they happy? Woohoo!
Yeah, Steve Harmeyer says kind of like the whiskey. Maybe they are prevalent in, I'm sure, in every single category.
Yeah,
hard
there's-
liquor, wines, of course they are.
Yep.
I get that. Wine snobs, beer snobs, I get all of
There's-
that. But I just, at the end of the day, I have a really, really hard time knowing why somebody wants to be so dickish about what someone else is drinking, what they're consuming. What's it to you? I was gonna say maybe I just have bad friends, but it has nothing to do with my friends. This is clearly
It's
a global.
a global thing, but you do have bad friends.
I know.
I'm right here.
Ooh, I thought that was gonna get awkward. I'm glad I could finally address you with
we're
and
cool.
and putting it under the radar of this podcast. Oh my God, you drink, and it brings it up because I think of course, naturally, people have made fun of you your entire life for drinking ciders, which I don't mind myself as well.
when I first started drinking woodchuck
Oh yeah,
back in the mid 2000s, before like the big cider beer took off, before
Yeah.
you could get Angry Orchard and all that stuff, it was like woodchuck was like the only thing, and I enjoyed it. And you're right, our friends jokingly would make fun of me, like, "Oh, you're drinking a girly drink," and this and that.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, it tastes fine. Well, now how the tables have turned, and cider is one of the most popular drinks out there. There's as many variations and flavors as there is almost any other type of drink out there. I'm still going to drink it, and in 10 years, when the fad fades away and all that's left is probably 2 different brands, I'll probably continue to drink it because it's what I enjoy drinking.
was it Reds that really became the secondary one to what we saw from Green Woodchuck. Sorry, Woodchuck was really big for a while. While we were in college, the final few years of college, Woodchuck ciders were pretty big, and then it maybe that kind of slowly died. And then was it Reds that I feel like was a Miller product that actually helped like just completely
I think so.
rejuvenate.
Reds seem to do that, if I remember correctly.
I
And I
don't
never
know.
really, and it's funny because that was one that I didn't really ever love. Like I tried it and I didn't care for much. I really like the Angry Orchard. I still like the
crisp apple.
crisp,
That's the one.
crisp apple,
Okay.
because I've tried the variety packs. I don't care for some of the other ones. I'm a fan of just that hard apple taste, and I can drink about 2 of them, and after that it's too sweet. Like I don't want, my taste buds just don't want any more at that point. I can drink more. I feel the same way about the Mike's Hard Lemonade. That was, I mean, Hard Lemonade was a big hit, even probably maybe before the big cider. And I drink about 2 of those, and after that, you don't want them anymore. It's just, okay, my taste buds are good. I got my sweetness, and I can go back to drinking water.
Well, and now I can't imagine how many people are like, oh, I totally unsubscribed to those those Jags.
Well, I mean,
They're
there's a whole
talking
beer
about-
and disc golf podcast that we should have them
I
on
know.
so they can make fun of us. Just seriously, like invite them on and let them.
You're like,
and they
hey
know,
guys, here's what we like to drink,
They-
and then they just go off.
they
on
know
us.
ahead of time what the purpose is. We're going to invite you on, and you're going to literally just sit and mock us as we drink.
All right. Well, we can move on from that. And as some have said, no, clearly Johnny nor I are overly knowledgeable about all the ins and outs of especially craft brewing, but I'm also okay with that. I love Nate and Val, like brothers and sisters, but yeah, I don't know everything about their business, nor do I feel like I need to. I've got other things I can worry about. So yes, the maybe we will have some special guest hecklers. That's what we should have. I am on the side here, trying to see if we can check in with a gentleman named George who is overseas, and there's some exciting stuff going on. We're just around the corner from a little bit of a Southeast Asia swing that includes Singapore, Malaysia, Koh Samui in Thailand, also Taiwan. There's really this like 4 or 5 week swing, and I think we're even seeing the likes of Nate Perkins and James Conrad, along with Nico, maybe or maybe not Barsby, Philo. We're seeing a lot of these people, take to this region of the world.
That swing of events.
Yeah, that swing of events. So it's actually pretty exciting. And George is, he's someone that speaks English. So hopefully we'll see if he can possibly get in. And I just reached out to him literally minutes ago. If it works out to get him on, we're going to see if we can do so. So I'm working on that right now. Skype, and we'll see if he can join us. I'm not even sure where he's at, but he's awake and he's somewhere else in the world. And we'll see if we can maybe get a little precursor or insight as to what's going on around the world. All right, so my beer rant, and it's so funny as you were drinking that because I just again think
you thought about making fun of me.
No, not at all, obviously.
I know,
but I know plenty of people would are just dying to give you a hard time about that. I'm looking down the list of other things. Something else that hit the news: Andre Agassi was caught golfing in some Jordans. Is that what the headline read?
Well, yeah, he was. I think I don't know what shoes he was
the
wearing.
right word.
But he was out at a Vegas, which I believe is where he lives, a Vegas course, and someone kind of caught up with him. It's really funny because growing up like we did, I have a vision of Andre Agassi, and it didn't match the picture. You could see it in his face. You could see Agassi in the face, but clearly he's put on a little bit of weight. Not much, but just he's older and
maturing.
as maturing. But he doesn't have like the hair. The Agassi 80s hair is iconic. And it always takes me a second to look at him and go, wow, like, if I remember correctly, you were married to one of the biggest supermodels in the world for a while. And, like, there's just the guy in jeans and sneakers just throwing it. And I was thinking, is he a forehand or backhander? You would think, I mean, but both are used in tennis equally. And I would think that even now at his age and his whatever, he could probably forehand a disc like a madman.
I was thinking the same.
And that's all I was thinking is, I wonder if somebody stopped to watch him and go, hey, there's another way to throw this thing, regardless of how he threw it. I bet you if he throws forehand, you think like, oh, maybe he's a better backhander. But
now I'll admit, I did not get a chance to actually check out the article. Did it say anything of major note in there? Was he just spotted playing?
I think he was just playing, and somebody kind of came up to him and recognized him. And
okay, yeah. Well, I guess that's cool. I mean, we can never complain about
having celebrities and
world-renowned athletes that are partaking in disc golf. I guess that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I only wish that Pete Sampras would have showed up.
Yeah,
give him a run for his money.
Okay. All right. We're going to see if we can still get George. I know he's working on it, and that would be awesome if we can get him. Maybe give us a little inside scoop of what's going on, like I said, on the other side of the world. Tournaments? Anything?
Not really.
Nothing of major note going on. I know that
no, lots of C tiers, a couple B tiers. That's really about it. We're kind of in that. I mean that post Thanksgiving.
close out the season.
Close out the season. There's nothing
Yeah.
of note. There was an A B tier in Griffin, Georgia. The DG1 presents the Doc Holliday Shootout,
Okay.
and Matt Dollar handily took that one. He was the only 1,000 rated player to step into the step on the course, and he won by 11 strokes, taking home $590 over William Brady and one Kevin McCoy, who's rated 986. So Kevin shot a 14 under. But
I think we had some star power down in Texas. The Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the Bill and Ted's, the BAT, because I know I saw Greg Barsby, I saw Nate Perkins on the list, and a few of the others. And I'll be the first to admit I did not check out a lot of the Bradley Williams. I think was on the list.
Sure, the BATADGA,
which is the Bill and Ted's
awesome disc golf adventure, probably.
I think so.
That would be my guess. Well, we did have, yes, for $1,040, Greg Barsby won that one by a single stroke over Mason Ford. Shooting 3 strokes underneath of that, Bradley Williams tied with Mr. Nate Perkins. So that was your top 4. And then Ezra Adderhold takes home 5th place for $335. You'd look at the Open Women, and we got Valerie M. winning that one over Stephanie Vincent and Danielle Vargas.
Is that Valerie Mandujano? And congratulations to her. I did see just today, if you click on her name, it says she's 949 as of this weekend. I saw her make a post on social media saying that her goal this year was to get to 950, and as of the ratings update today, I believe she did, in fact, hit 950. And that's incredible, because if I go back to my player stats that I was on actually a little bit earlier, that's got to put her, go ahead and take a guess, a 950, where does that put you in the FPO rankings overall? So I've got a
8th.
I'm going to say 6th. And I'm going to do a quick search right now, thanks to our friends at the PDGA. And you were... Wow. Okay, so she doesn't even come up because of her amateur status? No, it says professional there. Oh, excuse me, I did not search correctly or by the right parameter. There we go. I apologize. So we have Paige Pierce at 979. I'm not going to read them all, but Katrina, Henna, Tatar, Kristen Tatar, Holcomb, Salonen, Mandujano.
So she was 7th.
Okay, there you go. So Valerie, that makes her the 7th highest rated woman in the world. So congratulations to her. And obviously a great goal. And she was in that neighborhood anyway before the ratings update. But to have that goal and then to go hit it on the dot on the final update of the year, very cool to see.
Can't
Awesome.
ask for much more than that.
All right. Did you interact?
I did. He's just changing one thing. He's switching up some browsers, and we're
Awesome.
gonna see if we
We're going to hear from George here in just a few moments. So congratulations to Valerie, as I mentioned a moment ago. This is a total random side note, and maybe I'm way
That's what
old
the after show is for.
and outdated.
Yes, you are.
It's about to pull on my back, which hurts for some
Which
weird
is great
reason.
because I told you I went out and played around this weekend with some buddies of ours. We Johnny Rumble, Matt Parker, Steve, and Kazi, and we played Wolf. And at one point, I did a little jump putt from about 45 feet. It's snowy where we were at, just a real thin layer. I landed right on a log that I couldn't see, rolled my bad ankle, stood right up. I felt fine until about 45 minutes later when I went to move, and I was like, "Ooh, that's really stiff." And stairs were a little more difficult because I think I just pulled some tendons or something. And yay me, because I'm old. And at one point, I slipped on a tee because they're all.
Where was this at?
This is a place called Sandy Knoll up in West Bend, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And the tee pads are artificial turf.
How'd those work on the relatively fresh or light snow?
Horrible.
Really?
Horrible. Like, yeah, I chose to tee off most of the time from the side because the tee pads that we used, we used most of the short tee pads because we were playing Wolf and we thought it would make for a better game. But they were slick, like really slick. And I don't know if it's because of the type of turf they used. I guess these were donated to the course, so I don't necessarily know if it was the proper turf, but I hated it. For the shoes that I wore on this particular teeing surfaces, it was just slick. And I learned the very first throw, I slipped and almost fell, and I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just my shoes, whatever. And then I tried one other time when I twisted when I threw, and I said, okay, I'm done on these pads. I'm good to go. Some of the other guys continued to use them. They had different shoes. I was wearing normally my good pair of Keen shoes that I wear when I golf in the winter or in the fall, which work great on concrete and great on natural, but this particular surface was just I hated it. I absolutely did not like it because it just wasn't conducive to the way I was playing.
That's I continue to we see our sport somewhat moving away from, or in at least some attempts to move away from, the concrete, because everyone talks about how bad that is for your knees and your joints and everyone that plays on it regularly, the twisting, and Seth and I'm sure others will give you all the reasons why concrete is so bad for you on your body after long periods of time. You and I don't have to worry about it as much because we rarely ever play, so I still prefer that surface. But for the longevity of our players, I can understand how that's a real concern. So every time I see any form of a artificial turf or tee that's constructed or put together that way, I'm always intrigued by how well they work in less than ideal conditions, in snow, in rain, or whatever the case might be. And it seems like more often than not they've been okay, but and interesting to hear you have such problems.
Yeah, I did not like it. And I mean,
is it fair to say you're not the single most graceful?
Oh, no, 100%. I say if there's one thing that's
small disclaimer
that I know that is not necessarily the best part of my game is my footwork on the tee. But a lot of people that I was with were slipping, and I will say that the tee pads, I think artificial turf needs to be cared for. You would think that it doesn't, but
you got to love it and stroke it,
and you have
pet
to,
it.
yeah, exactly. You have to feed it and say nice things to it. The very ends of the tee pads, some of them looked like they were starting to dip a little bit.
Oh,
so it's like whatever the foot placement was hitting was just was pounding it down so that they weren't quite level. I think you need to make sure to sand those properly and all that stuff. And I don't know if these are, maybe they are, and they just this particular, but I did notice a couple of them have a divot right at the very end. So, I mean, I'll say this, when I don't usually slip on concrete. I don't usually slip on natural turf, but I was slipping quite a bit. What I will say, what I don't like about concrete sometimes is when you have the wooden board at the very end.
That comes out, that protrudes off the front of it?
Off the front of a tee pad.
But you're good with the wooden board underneath as the base, but you don't want it to be at all in front of the actual.
Correct, because I tend to, I'm with my long legs, I tend to be at the very end of the tee pad a lot of times because the tee pads are usually shorter. I got longer legs, so I'm always pushing the edge of that tee pad. That wood is really slick, so sometimes my toe will hit it and my foot will slip on the wood that's usually in front of the tee pad, which I personally, and I can understand how it helps erosion. I understand the purposes of it. For me personally, it tends to be an issue. If I'm slipping, it's because I'm hitting that. But yeah, these particular turf tee pads, I was not a fan of. And I bet you they're awesome in the summer. I can only imagine how great they are. But here it was cold, kind of cold. It was probably 30 degrees or so, 35. And there was still a layer of snow. It was in the woods, so it wasn't drying out. So the pads were wet. And it wasn't a fan.
Well, I won't likely get out there. So, and Seth on the board, Seth Fenley from the Disc Golf Pro Tour. has mentioned that he said the amount of work the San Francisco Open guys put into the turf tee pads there just for one event is pretty substantial. And that's where you follow up with the very next statement that essentially said that turf requires maintenance. Concrete still is the best money for the long run. And I agree with that, that your concrete tee pads are going to last you the longest. And if they're installed correctly,
very little maintenance.
Yeah, should have very little maintenance to them. However, like I said, we have that trade-off with what we see from the players and how it reacts to their bodies. So, all right, I will see if I can check back in, and it may or may not work that we get George here. He's still working on it. A few weeks ago, I went off on another random tangent or note about how I finally got around to seeing the movie.
The free climbing movie?
Yeah, Free Solo. Thank you.
Free Solo.
Thank you. Good.
I assume
good
that's where
reminder.
you're going.
I just want to encourage everyone to go watch it. I think it's really incredible. And I don't know if I went off on this comment since then. I find myself getting really lost in all these conversations and these interviews that he's had since then, and the superstar that this guy is in the climbing community. And anyone that's a climber is like, yeah, you're an idiot. He's, arguably the most notable climber, of this generation. I think that's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah,
for most
I'm
of us
saying,
have no idea. Just like we would tell everyone, I could go to half my family and talk about Paul Macbeth. No one has a clue who he is.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting that to change. Just like I don't know who the best bowler or spike baller in the world is either.
Exactly. Yep.
I just find this particular gentleman really intriguing. He's 32, 33 right now. It sounded as I've been following now and just seeing more stuff from him of years past primarily, because I hate to use the term, he kind of peaked. I mean, he took on one of the largest, most incredible feats in climbing of all time. And I always think like, okay, what do you do now? And he's even faced with that a little bit. I mean, climbing up El Cap with no ropes is arguably, like I said, one of the greatest achievements of all time, at least in climbing. Some were saying, even athletically, it's one of the best ever. And then it was just recently in the news, only because I know his name. He was doing a climb with one of the top professional female climbers, not a free solo climb, but a regular climb. And she had suffered an injury, and he was right there with her. He, administered some first aid, and that was in news on Good Morning America. And it was, what I found really interesting, though, was how he really downplayed the fact of saving her life, so to speak. She had taken this really nasty fall. He was there to administer. They were doing everything as best as they could safety-wise, but he administered, the first aid until someone came from there. And when someone basically credited him with saving her life, he's like, well, no, not really. And then he went ahead and fixed it. He's just such a humble, amazing human. His name is Alex Honnold. And again, just an incredible story. I still know very little about rock climbing, and I'll probably learn very little about rock climbing. But this person as a human and the story of this accomplishment and everything that he's done is incredible. Then I followed up with last week, I think it hit the news, one of the other top rock climbers in the world came across my desk. It sounded as if he had climbed. He did a free solo, which is, again, no ropes, no harnesses or whatever. I believe he had gotten to the top of a significant mountain, and it was when he was rappelling back down after climbing the mountain, there was a slip, and he fell to his death. And I just think,
that sucks.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to dismiss or belittle any of it, but how crazy to think that he made this huge accomplishment, conquered this feat, and then it was in fact on his descent that unfortunately he had this accident. It's just, I don't know. I've become seemingly really interested in the rock climbing community, although I have no interest in doing it and I know nothing else about it. It's just, I mean, of course, there's a lot of similarities that you draw to disc golf, and the passion and the living and the spirit and the traveling, and I can draw a lot of similarities. So I just can't say it enough. go watch Free Solo. Then there's a couple other movies that are similar, but Free Solo, you need to watch the movie. I cannot say that enough.
Well, we've got George on the line. We don't have his camera.
Okay, we're hearing George.
We're
it sounds
hearing
like
just
he's clicking
fine.
buttons, which is good. We're not sure, George, if you can hear us by chance.
Yep.
Okay, he can hear us, and we're going to see if he maybe just has to either allow his camera settings, maybe on his browser, to possibly allow camera. That might be one option. But we're gonna see if he.
No, that's right. That's all right. Otherwise, we can always just do it with audio as well. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, we could see if we could bring up. See if...
Okay. All right. So let's bring in George. We'll bring in his audio. And we'll talk with him. So George, you are live on the air now with SmashBoxxTV. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good, George. Now, you and I met back at the Samui Swine almost a year ago now, back in February of this year of 2019, and you're helping as a facilitator and as an ambassador to help grow disc golf overseas. Where are you, and what does that all mean to you?
Well, first, thanks for having me on the show, guys. Sorry about the video here, but hopefully we can get it working at another time in the future. I live in South Korea. I've been here for almost 8 years. Sounds like a long time, but time has flown by, and I've always played disc golf here. And I started in 2010 in Vermont and then in Buffalo. And as you know, Luke Butch, I met him in Buffalo, and he was Luke in Thailand at the time. So I guess George in Korea now. But it's been great. The Asian culture and the people here, they've gravitated towards disc golf. It's really grown in Korea due to a lot of people's involvements. And I've decided to step up this year and last year and really push to develop growth in Asia. So it's been a blast, and a lot of memories to come.
Well, and I got to thank you. You've also acted as somewhat of a liaison and ambassador to help direct me and I think a lot of our players as to the things we need to know about how to get more involved, to find the tournaments, to know what the scene is like. And so how would you explain in Korea and then I know you've have some dealings in Malaysia and Singapore. What would you explain the scene as right now to everyone? How would you describe it?
Well, I mean, in Asia, Facebook isn't as popular. So what I'm trying to do here in Korea is to try to get people to use social media a little more often, because there have always been events going on and there have always been people using social media. But we need to step up that game here and answer people's questions. Also, the language barrier is a huge issue. I do speak some Korean and I have traveled throughout Asia, but finding people that can speak English and finding the representative for each country to be able to help you out, it's key, and talking to the right person and understanding the culture, navigating that is a challenge. But there are special people in each country. There are people all over, expats as well, that are also willing to help. So it's not just me, but I'm just trying to, as you said, facilitate knowledge.
Yeah, and so what brought you there? And then is your goal to stay there, or are you in a position
my
that you're
wife
traveling?
would like me to stay.
Okay, well,
it's a good reason.
Sounds valid.
Well, I'm married. My wife is Korean. I'm a professor here, so my students would probably like me to stay. At least I hope. So it's great. Life is really good here. Having time off in between semesters to do disc golf stuff is fantastic. So I'll be here indefinitely. The most amazing thing here is that there's so many people involved in disc golf, and they do so much behind the scenes here, and there's so many players people don't know about. Just wait until they get on the scene. They're really going to make a push.
What have you seen in terms of the players' growth or development, and then how are they getting better? Because they don't have access to the pros
Great
that
question.
we do.
That's a fantastic question, Terry. Well, disc golf is an American sport, or now more international, but originally American. So a lot of them have learned it in their own ways, i.e. heavy distance drivers and flex shots, et cetera, et cetera. But I know, for example, the other day I was having lunch in Daegu, South Korea, which is the most predominant, busiest club in Korea by far. And I was sitting eating lunch with one of the best players in Korea who doesn't speak English. And he's sitting there with his family watching Smashbox and Jomers Pro and all these disc golf websites and asking me questions, like studying it from a textbook.
Wow.
And it blew my mind. So they do things on their own. They ask us. I'd like to think I taught them all, which is bums me out because now some of them are better than me now after 6 years. But they just absorb it like a sponge, and then they put their own tweak to it. And one interesting thing I was talking with Brian Henniger, the international PDGA coordinator, about is that each country puts their own flavor on things, and that's the unique thing about disc golf here.
Now, we've seen a huge push, and you're talking about social media, and I know it's not necessarily where you're at, but specifically, I've seen a really big push coming out of Malaysia. As they're reaching out to try and get sponsorship for their baskets, and then they're really good about posting pictures and posting when people are getting together for casual rounds and tournament rounds and everything else. I'd like to think all of that is drawing more attention to that entire area, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially with Prodigy now with doing things in China, I think you're going to see a big push in China as well. In Korea, thanks for the picture there. Korea, there actually are disc manufacturers, or there were in Korea, believe it or not. But they're just they haven't been publicized. But yeah, some people are better at social media than others. Eric Grover and the few of the guys in Malaysia are very good at social media, so they can kind of go on that. But as you'll see with the upcoming Asia Tour, you're going to see some players at the Asia Open that you never heard of that are pretty darn good.
And I'm super excited about it. Of course, doing Samui, and then the following weekend being over in, is it Kaohsiung? Am I close to that?
Kaohsiung, I believe is how it's
okay.
pronounced.
Being in another country, another place that I have not experienced disc golf, I'm super excited to make that. And now Nate Perkins, James Conrad, I believe, are signed up to also both be in Taiwan the weekend after they're in Koh Samui. That's pretty exciting.
Fantastic. It's fantastic. Like I said, with Luke moving to Thailand and growing the Thailand club and having that A-tier Nigel as well, and everybody involved in the Thailand scene. And last year, as you mentioned with Malaysia, I messaged Eric, one of the main guys in Malaysia, do a PDGA event. We ran it together. And we've had events in Korea. So there's so many events in Asia going on right now. There's so much to talk about. But what we're going to see this Asia tour is you're going to see some new players, and you're going to see a player, Jackie from Taiwan, who you never heard of. So Ming from Hong Kong, who you've never heard of. Mr. Saw, as I call him, from Korea, you've never heard of. The Emerson Keith sort of guy, half my size. But you're going to see these players, and it's really amazing. And hopefully we'll see more large pros next year. And that's what we're trying to push for. We're trying to make bigger events in the wintertime. I know everybody is here in the early spring, so that we can get those big players and entice them to come out here.
So if someone was to go to Korea, or was, planning their vacation, work, or business, whatever it might be, if they're going to find themselves there, are you a primary contact for people to be reaching out to and to learn more about where they need to go or what's happening?
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, me, there are also others as well, but I live like 20 minutes from the airport in the south, so it's quite convenient. I've been developing a club here. We're trying to get permanent baskets here, the Gaia Disc Golf Club, but there's also the Daegu Disc Golf Club and a bunch of other, Gyeongju, the Korean Professional Players Association, and the Korean Disc Golf Association. They're different disc golf associations here to work with. But yeah, you can contact me as well through the Gaia Disc Golf Club page, or me directly. And the great thing about disc golf, Terry and Genevieve, as you guys know, is it's still a small community, and we take care of each other. And when we go to places, we help people out, we hook them up, and just the same as people have done for me, I'll do for them here as well. So, and a lot of people will come through. So yeah, hit me up, anybody who wants to come. I know it's far, but we have events. There'll be a lot of PDGA events in Korea next year.
Well, and I was just going to segue to that. Tell us about what you guys have going on and what it's like to play in an event there, how many people entry fees, things like that? Kind of give us an overview.
Another great question. Well, you have the Korean Disc Golf Association, which is run by a lot of Koreans here, but also the interim coordinator, Tom Konecki, who has designed and helped facilitate the majority of courses here in Korea. There are several events coming up, as you can see on the PDGA website as well, in Korea. And I'll be hosting an event March 21st and 22nd on a beautiful new piece of property as well. But it's the camaraderie. It's noisy, lots of people, somewhere in the 50 to 70 mark on a good turnout. A lot of them are masters level players. They're older or retired, but you'll get. I'm one of the younger players, and I'm 33. It doesn't mean much though when you have Mr. Emerson Keith, 100 pounds sidearm, sidearming discs, like whatever. But a lot of prizes, a lot of snacks, a lot of gifts, a lot of gift giving culture. Yep. You might show up one day and there'll be boxes of grapes everywhere. You might show up another day and there'll be little stuffed animal prizes everywhere. You might show up another day and there are bag tags and money, and it's serious.
Wow.
My good friend Leonard Oberhausen High, who just left Korea, who's a contractor here, we were challenged to a doubles event. Cash was just put on the line. So there are a lot of events, but in regards to PDGA, you're gonna see a lot of events from the Korea Disc Golf Association, and they follow the PDGA rules, and just a blast with prizes and folks and awards, etc.
Now, is it true that we find in a lot of the I'll say European culture, everywhere over there, actually everywhere outside the U.S., does it seem as if the money is not as much of a concern in terms of the prize money, or that the prize money is maybe shifted a little differently? I don't know. Maybe correct me on what I'm.
Another great question. Food is the main concern.
Okay.
Will there be lunch, and how good will the lunch be?
Okay. Wow. Sounds like my kind of place.
That's absolutely paramount. As far as course layout and things like that, people will play whatever is available, and people will pay whatever is available. They want merchandise. They want discs. One of the things here in Korea is the pros want to receive something in their players pack. Okay. So that's something that we've talked about, and same thing in Taiwan, same thing in Japan as well. Also, because a lot of them are masters level players, 4 rounds over a weekend is a bit too much for a lot of people. So 3 rounds or some modified version of that. And in Japan, they do that as well. But food. Absolutely. Food is what people want.
Okay. So you're not out there necessarily worried about, what first place or second place is getting in terms of how big the check is.
Well, I am. Because I'm trying to teach everybody here that if we can increase the payout and work with local sponsors, which I have, let me do a quick shout out to Galmegi Brewery in Busan for sponsoring the Gaia Disc Golf Club here. Great guys over there. A brewing company goes hand in hand with disc golf. Nope. But if we can work towards that way and get more sponsors, we can increase the payout and then increase more players. And that's one thing that Korea Disc Golf Association, and also me as well, have been working on. So yeah, trying to let them know that food is not the only concern.
Well, and there's kind of a grassroots almost beauty to that you're certainly not worried just about how much money is made at the end of the weekend or at the end of a round or a tournament. I mean, of course, playing competitively, playing for something, and trying to earn more or win more, is part of that. Most of that competitive nature. In a lot of other places, but it clearly doesn't sound like it's been tainted or ruined by any means, and maybe it's just going to slowly work its way up or graduate. Maybe not,
Well, every country has their focus. I know in Japan with the Japan Players, the Japan Players Disc Golf Association, yep. Insurance is huge for people who are traveling across the country, so a lot of funds go towards that. In Korea, Korea is more developed as well, like Japan, so people have money to pay the $80 or $90 for a fee. But in Southeast Asia, a lot of people don't have that kind of money to just burn on a weekend, so the focus is a little different. It's smaller merchandise, and a lot of times you have people going from their own pocket to put events out to get things going on in Asia. So I know Malaysia has been like that with a few people, and Thailand, and I presume Cambodia as well, which we're going to have the first Khmer Cup coming up soon. Love to go there, but fortunately can't make it. And in Vietnam as well. So many places that I'm sure nobody knows exactly where they are on the map. But
I know. I cheat every once in a while. I got to pull it up and look and confirm myself as I'm looking and going to some of these places, not just for the first time, but to know, to be there and experiencing disc golf, to consume it, to play it, to promote it, even if it's just for 2 or 3 days, has just been so eye-opening and satisfying and gratifying for me. And I've only just had a little taste of it, mostly in this last year. I just can't say enough about it. And it's people like you that are continuing to get me more excited about the next possible city or gathering or tournament where people are playing, and then finding out, okay, here's how they do it. Here's what's going on here. And getting a snapshot of the here and now, and then knowing where it could be in 5 or 10 or in 20 years. That's so
fantastic,
exciting.
yeah.
It's incredible.
That's fantastic. You have that experience. Imagine my experience every day here, being a larger white guy walking around here, the stairs and the everyday situation. I'm so jaded because every day is a crapshoot of what's going to happen next. It's an adventure. But yeah, like you said, yeah, it's an adventure.
Let's just for a brief moment. I love me some Koh Samui, and I hope to never miss being there. But let's talk humidity just for a second. Are you quite as humid there as we find in Koh Samui? I don't believe you are you?
Korea is about like Virginia, North Carolina sort of weather, so it gets really hot in the summertime. But I'll tell you one thing about Koh Samui. I don't know if anybody told you. Do you know how to keep your hands dry there? I have a pro tip.
No, I don't know.
Rub one of the palm trees.
Really?
Yeah, of course. I went there. I was playing an event. I couldn't get my hands moist. Andy Painter, a guy from Japan who plays hard and parties harder, came up to me and said, "Dude, rub the palm tree." I rubbed it dry. Yeah, make sure you don't do that when you play with me, though. So.
I was just gonna say I can't see your face, so I think you're being serious. Okay,
I'm dead serious.
I believe him.
Serious.
Okay,
the palm tree is so dry. The edge of it, you just rub it, and it's better than any birdie bag or anything you could have ever had, and it just takes the humidity away. It's no joke. All
right. Well, don't get Tina from Whale Sacks mad at you and giving away all these secrents.
Well, that's just in that area.
If you're not using your whale sack or anything,
of course,
your preference, personal preference. It's both. In Korea it does get hot though, so things like whale sacks, sports sacks, anything that hand equipment is really important as well because it gets hot.
All right. Well, our good friend Luke Turnbull of Australia is on the board, and he said he's not joking. It really helps. So, all right.
Oh, yeah.
He's corroborated your story. Awesome. So, I kind of just quickly went over what I think is happening. Malaysia, is that the first stop kind of on this tour, this little tour that starts up in a few weeks? Is that right? I don't have the map. I'm sorry, the list in front of me. Is there something even before?
I do have to jet in about 3 or 4 minutes here. I have students waiting for me in class, but I will give you a brief rundown. They're adults. They're all college students waiting in class. But I will give you a brief rundown. So the tour, I'm not sure of the exact dates, but you can check on any one of the groups to see the map. But essentially, it's going to kick off in Southeast Asia. We got events starting in December, I believe, with the Capital Crush in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Ron Turner, the old school boys running the event up there with Foot Golf Malaysia. Then you're gonna chance to head over to Cambodia for the Khmer Cup. I'm not sure if that's immediately after. Then we have the Saigon Summer Boil, I believe, in Vietnam with Addison Yanato. Yanito, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And then you're going to head over to Malaysia for Shipwrecked. I believe that's January 18th. Singapore Sling number 2, January 19th. Then we get over to the Swine, which is the weekend after the Super Bowl, I believe, or before, January 25th, the week-long festivities there before the Swine, you have the Heisen Brownie. Which is all these funny names on the island of Koh Samui. So basically from middle of December to the Heisen Brownie and the Swine, which ends at the end of January, and then the Asia Open, which is the first weekend in February. You have this big swing all the way through Southeast Asia. And then, not to remiss, the Okinawa Open, which is the week after the Asia Open, which is not Southeast Asia, but fantastic, beautiful course right on the water. Okinawa is like the Hawaii of Japan, to give you any with Manabu Kajiyama absolutely going there and getting his 100th win of whatever. and then we'll be hosting an event in Korea in February 22nd. So we have the Shilla Open in here. We'll also have an event on January 16th, I believe, or 19th as well. So
awesome.
Starting out in Kuala Lumpur, ending over in Korea. What would you want? Would you want anything more than that, really?
I just more hours in the day so I can get to them all and not have to be gone from here for so long.
It's all a balance of energy, time, and money, as I say.
Well, I will find my way to make it to all of them eventually in the next few years. All right, we're going to let you go, cut you loose. Thank you so much for the last moment, being able to join us. I know I just reached out to you at the last moment.
Absolutely.
When you sent me a message. That's what sometimes happens here. You send me a message, I'm like, hey, get on our show. But, George, it's long overdue. We've been meaning to catch up since last year's Samui Swine. So thank you.
Nope.
Get back to your students, and if anybody needs your information, they can find you on Facebook or reach out to us.
Absolutely.
And I will direct them your way.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show, guys. And after the Asia tour, hopefully we can meet again and have a recap, and we can talk some more. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day or night. Stay here. So.
Yeah, thank you. All right, take care. See ya.
Take care.
All right. George Kamenos joining us. So thank you so much, George. He did send me a message. He said something about, did I see that you're for sure going to be at the Samui Swine and then heading over to Taiwan? As he was sending me that, I'm like, hey, we're way overdue. Just get on the show and let's get caught up. So I appreciate him joining us here in the last moment.
It's always nice to hear
short notice
the differences in not only between what we're used to here for everything. I mean, just for players packs. Like, oh no,
yeah.
the people here always want, the pros want something in a players pack. We hear a lot of pros here say, I don't want any of your stuff. I just want cash. Put all that into the purse because I care more about the money. I don't need whatever disc you're going to give me or whatever voucher or things like that. Put it all towards the purse, as opposed to other places in the world which are saying, no, we want these kind of cool things that maybe we don't have access to or that we just don't see a lot of.
Yeah, it was, like you said, very interesting to learn of those differences. And, we have talked about in the past how even the payout structure, even if all the money is there, so to speak, you find in a lot of the European countries where it seems like they go a little bit more top-heavy on the payouts. And it's just kind of, seeing that top 25% or 33% at most sometimes, but that 20 or 25% being where the payout line is drawn, making things a little bit heavier up on the top. So, it continues to grow and thrive, and clearly people like George right on the front end of that. And just him even mentioning people like Addison and Eric and some of these other people that I've met directly or indirectly as part of my brief travels, I'm just so ecstatic to see the growth and development as we move forward. A lot of fun stuff. Great people. And just like one of our wrenches on the board, Luke Turnbull, who has been a smashy for years and then eventually reached out and helped coordinate my first and only visit thus far to Australia even. And I appreciate people like Luke and George and so many others out there. And as we said, if anyone needs George's information, you can also find him on Facebook. His name is George, spelled as you would expect, and then Kamenos. And if you didn't catch any of those other spellings or names or words he pronounced, I would just look for him on Facebook, and you can go from there. And great seeing Red and so many others also on the board. Again, so many of you people that I've met in other parts of the world out here. That's taking it in.
It's a nice thing about our podcast. The longer we go, the more time zones we hit.
The more countries we bring in.
The more countries will come in.
Oh, I tell you.
We're a cultured podcast.
And then Luke has just posted on the board,
even if you
too.
drink Bud Light.
Yes. The whole Southeast Asia tour image that we were actually both referencing Luke has just posted it on the board for all to see as he went through all of those events. So very, very exciting. Thank you for that, Luke.
Let's give something away.
Yeah.
I'm in the mood to give away something worth at least $40.
Oh, my gosh. All day long. Let's do this.
It is a Disc Member package from Disc Member. I don't know what's in it. I'm going to guess there's the Prodigy stuff in it. But,
Maybe.
you know, if it's not and it's something else, surprise.
Hey, white elephant or not.
Don't white elephant it. Go out and throw it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Or give it to your friend.
And if you throw it and you absolutely just it doesn't suit your bag, give it to your best friend and say, try to beat me with this.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Rub it in their
Any-
face.
Anyway, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV if you want to be part of it. I've talked about it earlier, so I'm not going to go through all that stuff. But we have 197 entrants in this week's giveaway. Terry Miller,
Johnny, first, somebody wants to know what's Disc Member?
Disc Member. Oh, Crooked Digital Labs. Disc Member is a disc buying service. It's basically like one of the
Subscription box.
It's a subscription box. That's what I was going to say almost. And
You were getting there.
a
Almost.
couple extra
Maybe.
words. So you pay $25 a month, and they will send you a box every single month, usually by the first week of the month, sometime between the 7th and the 10th. And inside there is usually 1 or 2 pieces of plastic. They're discs, in case
Or credit cards.
you know, however it works.
Expired.
As well as sometimes shirts, memberships to UDisc and other things like that, stickers, towels, you know, just
Accessories, other minis.
all these accessories, disc golf related stuff that you can get. And there's a couple different options for their Disc Member. If you don't want to do disc golf, I know they've got an ultimate service as well. But I know most of our listeners are really focused in on the disc golf stuff. Because if they're here focused on ultimate, you're not getting a lot of news out of us. So discmember.com, please go out, let them know that you heard about them or we convinced you to sign up, and you know, just kind of give them a little poke and a prod, say SmashBox sent you. It's a pretty cool service. You get different manufacturers, different discs, unique discs with unique stamps every single month, and it really is an awesome service if you're into sampling. And why wouldn't you be? Because as we've always said, unless you're getting paid, like apparently Eric Oakley is, to throw one manufacturer, you should be testing out everything that's out there, because that might fit that one little slot that you need, that one that's really going to take your game from that 860 to the 1020. That's the one you're looking for.
Just a disc. You're one disc away.
One disc away. We all know it.
One disc away. That's all it is. If I just had.
Just that one disc.
If I just had. Yes, that's all you need. And we can assure you, one of our show supporters or sponsors will get it to you. Maybe Disc Member, maybe Disc Baron. One of them will get you that one disc you need.
That one disc that's just going to put your game over the top. You know, you'll be flaunting it in front of Macbeth soon enough. We promise.
Yes. All right, so we need a number.
We need a number, Terry. A small number.
A small number.
Because I'm going to hit that. I'm going to hit the number
generator, the random number.
The random number generator that many times between 1 and 197.
We have 197 people active, ready to go in our Patreon account. Is that what you're saying? And people that have submitted themselves to be eligible.
SmashBoxx.tv/weekly giveaway or weekly giveaways.
All right. As Sam says, the swag in the disc member boxes are awesome. All right, the number today that I'm thinking about. I was gonna say I could do like the whole Johnny Carson. Most people will not know that reference.
No, they won't.
Understandable.
Great Karnak.
Yeah. Let's go. I've got no reason to do it, so we'll just go with the number 3, the third number.
The third number.
I don't even have a silly logic or reason to it.
First number is 93. Second number is 92. Third number is 184.
Holy cow. How did you sort them, though, Johnny?
I sorted them by email address, 184. The answer is Todd Nowak. Congratulations, Todd Nowak. You are a $2 supporter of SmashBoxxTV. Much appreciated.
We do not have Todd's address handy.
We will send him an email.
I was just seeing if it's the Todd that I think that it is. But thank you so much, Todd. You will be receiving an email. You may or may not be hearing this, but you will receive an email. Super crucial that you get back to me and us with your mailing address. I can't ship you free stuff or have it go to you if we don't have your mailing address. So Todd, hopefully you can do that for us as soon as possible. Oh, Todd, Todd. That's why I was okay. No wonder why. That may be Todd from Australia, Todd. Todd, who ran the Australian Disc Golf Championships 1 year ago, almost to the day. It may, in fact, be that Todd. That would make sense.
That'd be awesome.
And yes, I was thinking of somebody in Ohio for some reason, but that would make more sense that it is, in fact, that Todd.
Well, if he's in Ohio, he's going to get it quicker. If it's Todd Nowak in Australia, get it just a little bit slower.
Might take a moment. Speaking of Australia and orders, shipments, some of you have participated in the Dude pre-sale order that they did with some jackets. They did another run of jackets. I'm a huge fan of the jacket that I received from them back in like 2015. I got on board with ordering during their pre-sale that they did a few months ago, and I just got an email update saying that they're working on it and things are getting finalized and stuff is being shipped over and then going to be sent out to all of the pre-sale orders. So if you were one of those people, you didn't see the email, here's your
top quality stuff from Dude.
Yeah. My jacket, I got a rain jacket from him, and
you wear it a lot.
I do. If I need it to be warm, or if it's chilly out, I'll wear my Dude rain jacket. If I'm going with I just need a shell, then I'm using an old one that the PDGA gave me in 2005. But if I need a little warmth, I go with my Dude rain jacket. All right, Sam Martin asks, as we're going to get to just a couple after show questions here. Sam says, what disc golf would we most like to see on the show Hot Ones?
What is the show Hot Ones?
Is that the challenge where people eat hot stuff back and forth?
Oh, sure. So somebody,
Yep.
so it looks like it's a show where someone eats something very spicy and hot. And are we saying what disc golfer would we see on there? Or what disc golfer would we like to see on there?
Yep.
Who would you love? First of all, you know the pros better than I do. So the first question I'll ask you is, who do you think would be the one that would tolerate the extremely...
Not Chris Dickerson.
No, not Chris. Not the guy that that would tolerate some extremely spicy food. Do you know anyone on the tour like that?
I don't know why it comes to mind, but one of our guests tonight, Eric Oakley, I don't know if he's a spicy guy or not. For some reason, I don't know if I'm making something up in my head to think that there's something specifically spicy that he loves. Well, a couple great suggestions are coming in. I'm trying to think.
So you don't
kind of creepy. I'm thinking of our disc golfer top pros eating
what
habits.
they eat. And so if you don't know that, that's fine. The next question: who would you like to see? Who would be the most fun to have them eat something ridiculously spicy? Would it be a Simon? I mean, Simon is pretty adventurous in general. He seems like a really easy answer that, stick something hot in his mouth and watch him tear up and he would say something funny,
faces, yeah.
make funny faces. That seems like a really easy solution. Anybody else on tour you can think of?
I think it would be kind of interesting to see Wysocki.
Oh. Well, I mean, as you said, I think it'd be fun to put Dickerson in that situation.
Yeah.
From the guy who has such a tame palate
Mm-hmm.
and is very accustomed to one or two things, getting him to eat something like that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I just don't think that would even ever happen. But yeah, I agree. I just feel like Chris would have his first go at it, and then he'd be like, all right, I'm tapping out. I'm done.
You know who would be fun, I think? Rico. Stevie Rico. I think he would be fun because we know Rico pretty well, and I think he fashions himself a manly guy, and
yeah, he drinks a lot of Fireball. I mean, I'm just gonna throw that out there.
He does. So I think, and I think he would be fun to watch turn up the heat on him a little bit with something really spicy.
Yeah, I have seen him somewhat in that capacity. Stephen Ashley asked, "Did you see the video with Seppo and Kevin Jones eating that ghost pepper?" I did not see that.
I didn't watch the video. I did see it come up, but I did not get a chance to watch that. So maybe I'll have to go back and look at that.
Again, as you're saying, maybe seeing some of the more mild-mannered players or somewhat quiet players like a Calvin Heimberg to see him attack something on that with all those Scovilles, huge Scoville rating or units, whatever they are, right? I think Johnny McRae. That's a good suggestion, Matt, out there. I feel like Johnny McRae.
I think McRae could do it and take it.
Like, that's what I was just going to say.
He's the type of guy that would take it and be like,
he could tough it
like,
out.
Yeah, and he's just. I think of him as maybe one of, and maybe it's the look along with his age and
tenacity.
I think of him as one of the most. I don't want to use the term like manly men, like just grizzled vet is the way I think of him on tour. Just he could take. It feels like he could take anything. You know who would be fun though? We spoke about her a little bit earlier tonight.
Madison Walker.
No, Madison would be fun, but I'm thinking of mild people that I know. Vanessa Van Dyken.
Yep.
Like she is always very calm and polite and friendly, and I would love to see someone like that just have to go through the process.
I would go ahead and throw out there that would also for another Florida boy, and we know he's a cook. Thanks to Rec Tech Grills, got it in there for you. Double G. I'd love to. He might be that kind of guy. I mean, he deals with a lot of cooking and grilling, and he knows his spices and all that kind of stuff. Now, I don't know specifically if he loves spicy stuff, but I got a feeling he does. And then I'm going to think back to a number of years ago. This goes back a full decade when I was we were sitting around on set at the USDGC before going live, or maybe in a break or something like that, of being live at the USDGC with Disc Golf Planet TV, and who always showed up with some kind of snack was Dave Greenwell. Mm-hmm. And he had, I recall, it was a little baggie that had dried, I want to say they were dried tomatoes with some kind of habanero or hot pepper or jalapeno seeds then sprinkled on them. They were delicious. They were absolutely incredible. They did not like make your mouth sweat, or they didn't make you sweat or anything like that. To me, they had just the right amount of kick.
Someone along the same lines as Simon that could be fun, I would think would be like a Schwebby.
Yes.
I bet you Schwebby is the type that would give you the reactions and make that a really fun night if you just sat and you're like, all right, we're going to do another.
Try this, Schwebby. Here's Schwebby.
Yeah. Give it to Schwebby. He'll eat anything.
Yeah. I could definitely see that happening as well. Excuse me. Did you see the recent post? This is really, really off tangent. The post of Schwebby and his now beautiful bride, Ashley.
I saw a post of the picture of them and the day they apparently met.
Yeah.
And I saw your comment. Because Schwebby made a post saying, hey, this is Ashley, his wife. This is the day we met. And there's a picture of Schwebby with, I think, 2 beers in his hand and his arm around her, like around her waist.
Uh-huh.
And Terry, of course, being Terry, makes a comment about how it's a little friendly for the first time meeting.
Just a bit handsy on that first go around.
That's just how Schwebby rolls,
I don't know.
Or maybe that's how Ashley rolls. She's they are a wonderful couple.
I could see I would love to see those two battle it out, actually, in terms of a contest. I'm not sure about her palate, but I could see those two in some kind of a fun eating contest.
Conrad, someone mentions out there, would be funny to watch.
He seems like he'd be pretty adventurous. James is I don't know if there's anything that would.
He's like
really
an experienced guy.
Yeah,
He wants to just experience things.
Well, it'll be awesome seeing him in Taiwan. All right, guys. I think we've got just about everything covered that we needed tonight. I mean, we were international for a little bit. I think we got all of our questions answered. We had
Pensacola isn't international, Terry.
no. I think Korea qualifies. However, we no good at the maps, but I don't know. Are we building a wall between here and there or anything?
I hope we're building a wall between out here in Pensacola. If it's anything like they say, they called it Redneck. I've heard it's called the Redneck Riviera at times, but hey,
you're going to make some enemies down there.
I love Pensacola. I get to go down there every once in a while.
Well, we appreciate it, Fairway Media. I do want to quickly shout out so many active participants in the chat board as I've been kind of following along. See plenty of regulars out there. Fairway Media getting in on the action. Makers Telemark, Sam Martin as always. We really appreciate all of you guys joining us and playing along as things get a little sideways, as my good buddy Johnny Rumble likes to say. All right, guys, we are officially calling it. Holy cow, it's 12:21 local time. I don't know what time that is in Korea, but I'd like to thank Eric and Tina Oakley for joining us in the regular show, and then, of course, George Kamenos for joining us in the after show. Really looking forward to an entire tour around Southeast Asia and beyond, and the rest of the international travels this year. It's going to be great. For Johnny V, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, we'll see you. This has been Podcast 277's after show. We'll see you next week. You step inside the Smash Box.